Should have got drunk before I came up here.
All you're going to do is keep doing what you've been doing.
That's right. That's right. All right, everyone. We good now?
We're good.
We're good. All right. We are live. So, everybody, as you come in, I want to welcome you to our Thursday night show here at Fish North Georgia. We thank you for tuning in. And if you fish, we've been talking fish now for an hour. It's been going on. We've had some great conversations. If you watch this at a later date, again, we want to thank you for doing that as well, as lots of people do that. They'll watch this the next day. They have busy lives, and so we understand that not everybody can tune in. Again, we're on our YouTube channel, both our Fish North Georgia platforms. So if you are tuning in, Fish North Georgia platforms on Facebook. So if you're tuning in on Facebook tonight, Paul, what do?
We go to www.streamyard.com/Facebook and put in our name.
That's right. And if you'll type that out, I'll say it real quick. I can't remember all these things. www.streamyard.com/Facebook. Put your name in. I can tell the first one up there that says, "Hey, Daddy," is Tatum. So, hey, Tatum, I'll go ahead and say hey to you. But again, Eric Beasley, Port Taco, appreciate you guys tuning in. And all of you guys that are watching that, or again, like I said, at a later date, we appreciate each and every one of you. And we hope that tonight's conversation will definitely shed some light on some things. We've got a very good guest, Mr. Tim Hancock, is in the house. How are you, sir?
I'm still above ground.
Still above ground, and that's as good as we all can wish for. And so I'm going to pick his brains a lot tonight. And again, I encourage you to do the same in the comments as the topics keep coming up and start rolling. And as the show goes on, definitely do not be afraid to put a question out there. And we will make sure we try to answer it as best we can. But let me get a little bit of business out of the way. Of course, as always, this episode is brought to you by the Cassidy Agency and State Farm. All right, for all your insurance needs, you need to call our friend Chase Epley at 678-779-7269. And again, you hear me say it every week, personal articles policy. Guys, we talk every week about how much we have invested in our rods, our reels, our sonars, things on the boat. And again, this personal article policy, can you say that personal article policy fast? Have you tried to say something like that?
I can't say anything fast.
I tried. It gets me every time. Listen, it's worth more than your rod's warranty. I'm telling you right now, it's easy to deal with. I can't stress it enough. I just try to. And what I think I'm going to do is next week, we're going to start with a little contest kind of thing. We're going to run it for a month. I'm going to have a brand new Abu Garcia reel down here. And for the next month, anyone who calls Chase for a quote, whether it be life insurance, auto, home, like that, if you call and talk to him, tell him you saw it here at Fish North Georgia, you'll be entered into a draw. And we're going to do that to probably about the second week in July. And we're going to have a live draw. And this is a $250 reel. And all you got to do is call Chase at 678-779-7269 and just talk to him about some of your needs. And again, ask him about this personal article policy, $75 for up to $7,000 worth of coverage. You're not going to be able to get that anywhere. So definitely want to share that. And again, Nofo Brewery, we appreciate them. Tonight's selection is North Rim. It's a rye IPA, 6.7% ABV. Again, go up 400 just north of Cumming. It's going to be on the right-hand side of the road. Great atmosphere, great craft brew. You can't go wrong. Again, if you go in there, drop in there, have a good time, and tell them the guys at Fish North Georgia sent you. And one of the things that I want to bring up before we really get going and we start picking the master's brain over here.
Somebody else coming?
Yeah, no, nobody's coming. It's you, baby. It is all you. The Etowah Wildlife Expo. You've seen it. You heard me talk about it last week. This is something that's going to happen August 20th through 22nd. I had the pleasure of going and meeting with the owners of the mill and meeting them for the first time and walking and having them tell me and show me where the event's going to happen and what their expectations are. And guys, this is going to be a really, really big weekend. And again, they're expecting 7,000 to 10,000 people coming through. And so we definitely want to put on a good show. If you're interested in becoming a vendor, you or your company, you got a product or something you want to sell, if you will call me at 283-6700. I will walk you through the process. I can tell you already that, we're going to have boat companies there. 400 Inc. Kerry Bell talked to him today. He's going to be a part of it. He's going to have his boat wrapped. He's going to have a holographic. I think that's what he told me. He's doing a new boat. It's going to be a holographic type wrap. He's going to be showing it. Again, I talked to your standard favorites, LJ over at Lanier Bates and Humminbird. They are going to be there. Your Outdoors Adventures, Mario. He's going to have a booth there. Fish North Georgia, True Grit. We'll all have these booths, and we're going to try to make the angling side of it just dwarf everything else. The Etowah River is right there beside it. They're going to have people in the river doing kayaks and fly fishing, just things like that. We're going to have a bass tank. I am setting up people to get on that bass tank and do demonstrations. So it's definitely going to be an interesting thing. I want to say hey to a lot of guys before we get started too. Danny, I'm kind of touched. He came up and saw me with his wife. I think it was a couple of days ago, and his wife brought me a quilt that we're going to auction off. We're going to start doing it next week. We're going to have an auction, and it's going to go to help Fishing for Warriors. And it's a I'm going to show it. I'm going to take a picture and put it on our Fish North Georgia group page. It's pretty cool. It's just got the eagle. It's got some soldiers in it. It's really it's touching that somebody thought about it. And that they would do that for us. And again, at the end of the day, we can talk fishing, do all that we want to do, but the community is what we really want to be about. And we're going to auction this off, and we'll give the proceeds to the Fishing for Warriors Foundation so that they can help take vets on weekends and put them in a tournament settings. You guys, if you've been a fan of the show for a while, they've been on here, and they will be back on here in the future. And we're going to start kicking up the fundraising for them. So, Danny, you know what? I didn't get your wife's name while she was there. I wished you would please put it in the comments, but she's going to be real popular over the next week or so as we start putting it out there. So again, Ron Abner watching in Woodbury, Tennessee. Hey, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And it's nice to know that we have friends that are out across the borders. But again, August 20th through 22nd, we're gonna really blow this thing out. So I've got another meeting with them next week, and I want to be able to tell them, hey, look, I've already got these people. Okay, it's Rachel. Tell Rachel thank you very much. We love her and we appreciate what she's done. What she did made my week. It's awesome. So I can't wait to put that quilt in somebody's hands and give that money to those guys. But again, we're gonna absolutely blow this out. All right. So I want the entire Fish North Georgia community to be there. Listen, Reformation Brewery is right there. They're going to have live music. They got $100,000 LED TV right in the middle. If you've ever been up there in the, what do you call that? I mean, is it a courtyard? Is that a proper name for a gathering place amongst buildings? The courtyard like that outside?
Like.
A plaza? Okay. So, Paul is the cultured one in here, and Paul calls it a plaza. So out in the plaza.
That's a low bar.
Listen, the bar is not set very high. All right, but again, listen, they've done some events there, but they really want to do this. It's with the Georgia Wildlife Federation, and the mill, if you've never been in there, is phenomenal. You need to walk in and see what they did. It's old cotton mill, I think.
How close is it to where the high school?
Not very far. As the crow flies, less than a mile.
Okay.
Mile and a half, right there on the Etowah River. So again, that's coming up. You're going to see a lot of details about this in the coming weeks. But again, if you or your company want to take part in it, or if you watch this tonight or at a later date and you want to be a demonstrator, seriously, you want to go up and you want to talk to people. I've already had a couple. I've had a Justin Reynolds. Everybody knows him he's an elite angler and an electric elite angler and one of our friends here. And he wanted to come and he volunteered his services to do a frog talk about frog fishing, and he loves doing that. And so that's one of his talents. And I said, absolutely, we can do that. So trying to get LJ to do a drop shot in the bass tank. So we're going to do stuff like that. So again, lots coming up like that, a lot of information. You guys just stay tuned on the show and on the Fish North Georgia group page, and we will be getting that information out to you. So now I have done the business side of things. Are you ready to talk?
Let's go.
Let's introduce the world to Mr. Tim Hancock. How are you tonight, sir?
like I said, still above
Still
ground.
above ground. And if you've been following the, I guess the Fish North Georgia group page for probably about the last 2-3 months, you
Something
stumbled
like
across
that.
our page,
Yeah.
and evidently you liked it. And you posted a lot of big fish, pictures, and not just from recent. So
That's kind of my thing. I don't fish exclusively for big fish,
but
I try to put myself in positions where they live,
right,
and it works out.
it
Sometimes.
works out. So
And sometimes I get my butt handed to me.
it happens to all of us. So how many years? We kind of talked about upstairs. How many years have you been fishing in Georgia?
I moved here in 75, so I really didn't start hardcore bass fishing until about 79 when I started keeping my books. I met my wife and her brother fished, so me and him started fishing.
Right.
And it kind of went from there.
Went from there. So
She was afraid we weren't going to get along, and then next thing you know, we was getting along a little too good to suit her because we were going fishing all the time.
absolutely. Hey, listen, that happens. So you mentioned books, and it's one of the things that I made a post about, and you have posted. Safe to say that you have noted down on paper every catch of every bass pretty much you have had for how many years now?
Well, let's see, 79.
From 1979?
42, for this is going into my 42nd year.
42nd year. All right, so the first question I want to get out before we go any further, are you crazy?
I've been told that
Have you been told that?
more times than I can count.
Okay, so I just wondered, so what drives a man?
Especially when I tell people I turn them all loose.
Well, that's true too.
You spend all that money and you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you drive 50, 60 miles and you fish 11 hours in the heat or the cold or whatever. And then you turn everything you catch loose.
Right.
So you're out of your freaking mind.
Absolutely. And then you write it down.
Yeah.
And so you're even crazier than what we thought.
There you go. I'm not going to argue with you.
No, listen, I admire it, but why?
It's a learning process. You start out, you're doing this, you're using this, and you get this result. And then you learn from that and you adjust and you evolve. And I'm using stuff now that I never didn't even exist back then.
Right.
And I still use some of the old methods, but I'm using a lot of new stuff now too. And you mix it all in. But when you keep the records, you can see your progress. It's the only way to measure your progress. Nobody can remember every fish they caught and the conditions they caught them under. Nobody can for 40 years, or at least I can't. If anybody can, I haven't met them.
Right.
But when you look back over 40 years of that stuff, it's I even keep up with the time of day. I keep a separate log for each big fish and the time of day I caught it. And it's just some really neat patterns.
Well, what's your definition of a big fish? What when you
Over
catch,
5 pounds, 5 pounds or better.
So 5 pounds or better, you have a separate log for that. So in this log, and you have one right here, or a couple of them right here, before we even open them up and go through them like that. What kind of information are we putting in?
Just for the daily trip, I put, of course, the date, where I went, what the weather was like, water color, water temperature, and how many I caught and what I caught them on.
Okay.
And then I keep up with like the total weight and the total hours I fish. Because you can't really get better if you don't know how many hours you fish and how many fish you caught.
Right.
You try to catch, okay, well, I fished 8 hours yesterday and I only caught 5. Well, that sucks. So,
right. Yeah.
So, okay. So, and you got to figure out, okay, well, what really worked? And then you run with that.
Well, at some point while fishing, you made the conscious decision. I need to write this down.
I'm going to blame that on my brother-in-law too.
And why? Okay. And why was that?
Because he started doing it. And I thought, that's a really good idea. Because now I can look back and say, if I went to Lake Wise in 1985, I can look back and see all the conditions of what I caught them on and where I caught them. And if you hadn't been to a place in 20 years, that's useful information.
So you think you could replicate it?
You could try. It gives you a place to start.
Right.
But there's days I've gone to the lake and everything. If I could have picked a day and weather conditions, just like you drew it up, and I'd have bet all my fishing tackle I was going to kill them that day.
Right.
And you go out and you get your butt handed to you.
Yes. Happens to me a lot.
Me too. It's happened to me this year
Right, absolutely.
several times.
Right.
And it just, all it does is just make me want to, I figure, well, I screwed up somewhere. And some days they just don't bite. And I don't care, if you watch the major tournaments, the big tournaments, there are some days I've seen KVD get his butt handed to him.
Yeah. And
and
some days he wins. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's fishing.
Is it an addiction? Like, do you go like, I have got to do this? Like, if I don't write down my information, I'm just, the rest of the day I'm shaking.
No, sometimes I've learned now I better write it down quick.
Yeah, we're getting a little long in the
tooth, and so now I don't always write it down, but I'll jump on the computer and I'll send myself an email with all that information. And I'm about 2 months behind on putting it in my book, but I do have it in my email, so I can just pull it up and I can transfer it into a book. I don't know what it is now. I hate to write it down, but I know I've got to.
But you got it. So you have it. So
yeah,
1979, and of course we're 2021 now. Let's talk a little bit about. You've seen some changes in fishing.
Oh yeah.
And so from maybe the very first year of your post, and we're going to get into a lot of specifics. He's brought a lot of toys here tonight, a lot of interesting changes that he's made on a lot of these lures, and some things that I have seen and I've heard him talk about that are different than what a lot of things that we were doing. Jeremy Moody, I was 3 in 1979. Listen, no doubt, dude. Absolutely. I get it. Alex Green Fishing. I email notes to myself too, and I drop them in my folder. So listen, you're doing, a lot of guys are doing this, so you're not too far off. So,
well, I mean, I think I started, according to what I've seen, I've started. Yeah, I am that crazy too, Jeremiah. But also, I think, who was it, the guy that got busted in California for all the...
Mike Long.
Okay, there you go.
Mr. Culture knows.
Yeah.
He knows.
And, okay. But...
that's what we're going to call Paul from now on. Culture. That sounds like a good
I listen
nickname.
to him talk. He's very educated.
He is.
If
not, he comes across that way.
Yeah, he's very literate, very articulate.
He is literate. He's probably, him and Josh are the brains in this whole thing, and it's just me. That's so Mr. Cole, is that okay with you, Paul?
Whatever you want to call me. I've been called everything but a child of God.
Okay, well, you are a child of God as well.
I can relate
Culture.
to that.
So Culture back there. But anyway, so what about Mr. Long? I mean, you bring. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, he was the one that everybody thought he was like God, and then come to find out how he was really getting them fish.
Yeah.
So
it's sad when you think they're doing the right.
Because up until that happened, I used to see a lot of people defend him and that kind of stuff, and of course, I mean, I have people take shots at me. I've had people accuse me of changing shirts and taking pictures with the same fish.
How does that make you feel?
I don't care. I know I caught him.
Well, why? Let me ask you this. Okay, so
I just consider the source.
Why do you think people do that?
Some people are just, a lot of people were unhappy with me because I might put a picture up and I would blur out the background.
So you're one of those.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you're a blur.
That is the single fastest way to ruin a really good fishing hole, is to advertise it. I've seen it happen numerous times.
Right.
I mean, absolutely. Lake Ackworth used to be, God, I love that lake. I caught so many big fish down there. It's ridiculous. Somebody put it in GON. Next thing you know, people say, well, we caught 4 down there that weighed 12 pounds the other day.
Right.
Big woo. One day I had 5 that weighed 36, 37 pounds down there. You ain't going to do it now.
Because it's just fished
It's
out.
just beat to death. They started doing little John boat tournaments down there.
Right.
And, and this is another thing I'll catch flack on is delayed mortality, just the way rough handling the fish.
That is absolutely, that is one of the things.
There's been too many studies done.
Mm-hmm.
I used to put put them in a live well 2 or 3 at a time, and so I could have a group picture. I quit that junk. I don't put them in a live well at all anymore.
There's no Andy Middleton preach right there. Listen, Brian Marcus and Hey Jealousy. So like that. Love you guys. Appreciate it.
Want to name check there?
Let's do it. Put it up there. Let's talk about that. Because here's where my next question was going. GON kills fisheries. All right.
It's not just GON.
They'll also let you write your own articles too, but that's just for the people that know what I'm talking about.
It's not just GON. Any kind of publicity will ruin a good fishery. Or I used to.
But what do you think about the GON when they go up and they're giving you waypoints, and you get the exact?
Two things. Number one, is somebody just really putting the waypoints in, or are they just making up waypoints and throwing them out there and say, well, you just didn't catch any fish because you just know what you're doing.
Right.
Or is it real? If somebody doesn't have any more regard for their fishing hole than that, and to advertise it, well, that's them. I'm not going to do it.
I understand.
I like catching fish. I know a guy that you guided on some of these small lakes for a while. And as soon as I saw that going on, I thought that's not going to last long, because it won't be but just a little while. He'll go to the lake with a client, and there'll be one of his former clients sitting on all the holes he showed them.
Yes.
And
that happens on big lakes too.
Yeah.
Really big lakes. So
back when I guided, I had my own little method. I would take people to some of the most out of the way ramps in the world, and you have to drive through a cotton field to get to them. They couldn't find their way back in 1,000 years. We'd catch a bunch of fish, but I didn't have to worry about seeing them back there.
Okay, well so because I have my own opinions on GON, some good, some bad, but just like everybody has that. So, how then do you report on a fishery without blowing it up?
You can just be general. You can say, I was in Stamp Creek. I caught them in Stamp Creek. Caught them on Stamp Creek on current base. Well, that's a pretty big creek.
Yes, it is.
So if somebody can find them, more power to them.
So you're basically saying that the biggest reason is when they give out the specific location. This rock pile is producing right now. Boom, don't. This boat dock is producing. Don't.
If I were to tell all I know right now, I guarantee you my places would. I mean, there's a lot of places, a lot of people that know where I fish and know some of the exact spots I fish, but I don't think they know them all.
Right. Well, I get that, and
a lot of people don't fish like I do.
That's true, and we're gonna get into that. But it's just kind of interesting how
I'm a little bit selfish. I'm just not going to give all that information.
Yeah, but is it selfish or is it smart? I mean,
well, maybe a little of both. I don't know. I don't get called smart real often. So
how about the guy, and I'm going to play devil's advocate for you. How about the guy that says, listen, just because you caught him on that point and everybody knows that point, so it doesn't mean that somebody else can fish your game. So tell them what, I stick it out here. Here I am. I caught him right here. Come fish my game and see if you can do it.
That's up to them.
But what do you think about that guy?
Good on him. If he's that giving and he, it's not that big a deal to him, then let him knock himself out. But he's going to show it to somebody or 100 people, and it's going to be just not saying you can't. There are places on Wise where there were community holes, and you could always catch fish there. They were just fish there all the time,
right?
And then you had some really out of the way places that I don't think anybody knew about. And those places stayed good all the time.
Right.
But I guarantee you, if I told everybody, said, okay, right over here, it's Neely Henry is a really good example. When I started fishing Neely Henry in like 86,
right.
We would there was a little boat ramp at a little fish camp about mile below the powerhouse. You never saw anybody up there. And my God, the fish, you just drop your boat in. You didn't have to crank it if you didn't want to. It was target rich all the way to Gadsden. You had 15 miles of junk to throw at. And we caught fish and we caught fish and we caught fish. Well, BAS has put them on the map. And next thing you know, you could go over on July the 4th weekend, you wouldn't see 10 boats. And then all of a sudden, about 15 minutes after daylight, there'd be 30 boats come buzzing through there.
Right. And
they just picked that place clean. You catch all the fish, you take them 15 miles back down the river to Gadsden the way, and they ain't coming back up the river.
Let me ask you about this. You fished Varner before.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the and I used to be on GON forum back in the day. I think it's kind of run its course pretty much now, so I don't spend a lot of time over there. But that used to be one hell of a fishery. Yeah,
I never did that great on it. I could catch some fish. It's kind of a tough lake to fish.
Yeah, but those that knew it well could absolutely.
Yeah.
But do you think, and this is what I'm asking this, the elites, our electric elites are fishing there Saturday. And I'm not asking for tips, but what I'm asking is that lake used to really produce giants consistently, and they were always posting pictures of it on GON. Now, do you think that along with I think the grass kill or whatever, do you think though that all those posts and that publicity really hurt that lake? Because that's back in late 90s?
Yeah, I think the grass, losing the grass hurt more than anything.
Okay.
Because that happened to Lake Horton too, down in Fayetteville. They put 6,000 grass carp in there, and they eat every blade of grass in that lake.
Let me real quick say, David Newcomb down there. Hey, Danny, I'm the guy at Oakwood Bait and Tackle. Hey, listen, I appreciate you you tuning in, and since you're there, I want to go ahead and announce that True Grit Tackle Co. will be in Oakwood Bait and Tackle. We got our first order to go stock that store with our True Grit jigs, and in the next about the next week, we will be delivering week and a half. We will be delivering that order. So it was great to meet all you guys down there, and I look forward to seeing you guys a lot. So we appreciate that, and I appreciate you tuning in. It means a lot to me. So definitely, David Newcomb, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So love that, absolutely. And I look forward to getting True Grit into other stores as well. So back to Varner, but I just remember going on the forum, seeing pictures of some really, I mean, it was some big fish. Now there were those, and I still know a few of them personally. I never know them. I say personally, I know of them. We occasionally converse through social media and stuff like that. I didn't know them personally at the time. They were the ones that would blot out and all that stuff as well, like that. But I just remember big fish. Boom. It's like it just went silent. Now,
I know
grass carp, or the pressure of all of a sudden everybody knowing Varner is just cranking out monsters.
Well, in a way, the grass would probably being gone it's going to make it a harder lake to fish, because the fish are just going to scatter more. They're not going to be so predictable. That's what happened to Horton. As far as I can only speak about my experience.
Yeah.
When they stripped Horton clean, it got tough to fish.
So you need I
think it helps. I mean, especially Horton is the only lake I've ever fished in my life where you could catch fish in the middle of the day in August and September on a spinnerbait. I mean, good fish. The water would be 15 feet deep. You could see the grass on your depth finder come up to 10, 11, 12, and you could see the fish sitting on top of the grass. Just take a big old spinnerbait, throw it as far as you could, and just wind it down there on top of that grass, and they would just smoke it.
And we're going to get to the talking about spinnerbaits, because that's what you like to throw. You are a spinnerbait man.
I love my spinnerbaits. I love crankbaits too, though.
Before what's up, Daniel Duckett? I appreciate you coming by the store and seeing you, man. Thank you for your support. Before we go get in,
Jeremiah is right.
Where's that? I'll speak in generalities. When talking about spots, you can ruin places in a hurry.
Amen.
Hey, listen, I get it. And when the guys do some stuff for us, especially on smaller lakes, especially on these reservoirs, you can't tell everybody, hey, go to point B, 20 foot of water. There's a log laying across it, because the next day there'll be 10 boats sitting on that fighting for that spot. So I totally get it. But I'm sitting here staring at your shirt. I've been staring at your shirt for a while, and it's some kind of foreign language right here. And
actually, it's the most unforeign language there is.
Okay, so what? And sit up a little real quick for a little bit, see if they can get it right there. What? Yeah, that's actually pretty good right there. So what does your shirt say?
It says Nani Chito La Hookley Took.
Nani Chito
La Hookley Took.
La Hookley Took. Yep. And what is that?
Means I caught a big fish.
In what?
Choctaw.
I
am legally Native American.
Hey, okay, listen, I appreciate that, but I'm going to tell you something right now. My damn mama told me all my life I was part Cherokee. I'm serious. I've heard that the reason I can't sleep at night was because I had Cherokee in me. My aunts and all them talked about Cherokee blood in us. I got that. Oh, what is it? I didn't do the 23andMe. I did the other one, Ancestry.com.
What'd you come back with?
I'm the whitest man in the history of the world. I ain't got nothing. I got fat European is what I got. It don't say nothing about Cherokee Indian. And listen, my mom even told me in high school, I swear to you, tribal membership card of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. Well, I'll be dang. So you're legit. Listen, I feel really gypped because my mama told me I could pursue scholarships because I had Cherokee in me. I ain't got none of that stuff.
But
how'd you? I mean, seriously. So what does that mean to you?
Well, living here in Georgia, other than this, I'm really proud of it.
Yeah,
it doesn't do anything for me.
Well, I'm sure you're not getting discounts at the movies or nothing.
No. If I lived in Oklahoma, if I lived in Oklahoma on the res,
Yeah.
I could get what they call independent elderly housing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be over
elderly housing.
It's like high end government housing.
There you go.
And it's the rent. The houses are furnished, or well, they got appliances, they got microwave, air conditioning, everything. Somebody does your yard for you, and it's 15% of your income.
Really?
My all of my medical, my dental, everything would be 100% free.
That's right, Andy Middleton. Absolutely, buddy. He sounds so white I cry milk and fart chalk.
But yeah, I mean, the benefits if you live there, what they call a 10.5 county area.
Yeah.
11,000 square miles, the whole southeast corner of Oklahoma.
Right.
And they have, it's amazing. I went out there. I went back in 2018 for a funeral, and I kind of made a quick run. So
did you come from there? I mean, is that?
I was born and raised in Texas.
Okay, in Texas. All right.
And most of my people are buried either in Oklahoma or Northeast Texas.
I got you.
And
Oklahoma and Texas play college football. Who you rooting for?
Neither.
Okay, so you don't really care.
No.
Okay.
I have
That's a
really
big thing there, though.
I'm actually right now I'm a Clemson fan.
Are you a bandwagon fan or are you a real Clemson fan?
Trevor Lawrence lives about 8 houses down from me.
There you go.
He went to school, with my daughter.
Right.
My granddaughter.
Yeah.
And so we watched him ever since he started playing. And
is he a good person?
From everything I hear, I have never heard a bad word about him.
I haven't either. He's almost like too perfect.
And he seems to really have his head on straight.
He wears some Jack now too, ain't he?
You ain't wolfing.
That's right. So, all right. So anyway, but can you get duty free stuff there though? I mean,
everything, you can get discounts all over the place. But like I say, the big deal is, especially if you're retired and a senior, is free medical, free dental, free vision, free prescriptions, free everything.
I got you.
Not discount, free.
Free.
They've got a big new state of the art medical center. It's like the envy of Oklahoma.
Seriously?
Yeah. And I didn't know this, but my God, there's a lot of places to fish in southeast Oklahoma.
You wouldn't think that, would you?
Oh, but there is.
Really?
And you're not that far from Lake Fork.
Okay, that's true. Well, there you go. That's right.
Lake Fork, Texoma.
But you know what? You get those tornadoes.
You sound like my wife now.
Listen, all I'm saying is, listen, I've seen the movie Twister.
Yeah. Well, it ain't no joke, but here's the thing about it. Now, if you buy property in there in the 10.5 county area, they will pay for and install an in-ground storm shelter for you.
You go up Yellow Creek Road up here too. These people got it too. I don't know what they're worried about, but they got them in the front yards.
And then where you have the little communities of the independent elderly housing units, they have like either each one has its own, or they have a group shelter.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
But yeah, it's Tornado Alley.
So you're a Choctaw, or
That's me.
You got Choctaw. Okay, well I'm glad that it worked out for you because
great grandparents were on the Trail of Tears.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you realize though the Trail of Tears right out here at Yellow Creek?
Yep.
I mean, it is the original road right here.
Up through Blue Ridge.
Yeah.
All around.
I mean, it is right here, less than 2 miles from this store.
Yeah. If you ever watched the Outlaw Josie Wales,
yeah,
where Chief Lone Waddy talks about being one of the 5 civilized tribes.
Right.
That's Choctaw, Cherokee, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole. Those are what they call the 5 civilized tribes.
Gotcha.
And the Choctaw Nation is very wealthy.
So let's look at some of the comments. They were talking about Oklahoma-Texas Board of Fisheries being good on the BTL yesterday when Jeff Reynolds was on. So absolutely, listen. To be honest with you, I being from Georgia, of course, I did not know that. So largemouth, smallmouth, spot fisheries out there. When you say there's a lot of good fishing in Oklahoma, what are we looking at?
It's got them all from what I hear.
Okay, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Smallmouth. There's smallmouth in Texoma. And stripers and
so you said stripers and that popped. I saw 2 comments. One, Alex Green Fishing Texoma is one of the very, 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 very few naturally reproducing striper fisheries that's landlocked.
I did not know that.
So there you go, Mr. Green dropping the knowledge as he normally does. And again, so fishing with Farmer there, Mr. Farmer, somebody let me in wanting to watch the show in person. Hey, listen, are you here? Hey, if Farmer's here, go let him in.
So you want me to go check the door?
Hey, listen, yeah, go. Yeah, I guess so. But I don't know. I thought he was in Florida last week. So
Maybe on the wide. Maybe he's up there.
Leave us on the wide for a little bit. He might be up there. If he is, come on. So
is he the young guy that Somebody's beating on.
Oh, there he is. Farmer is here. He's just coming on in.
There's somebody.
Right
Is he the
there.
young
Come
guy
on in, buddy.
that guides on Notley?
Well, he don't guide. He fishes.
No,
it.
fishes. Okay.
He's not a guide. He is the best skipper I've ever fished with.
I
That
wonder if he
joker-
knows the story about I told you about the Orlando Wilson deal.
No, but when he gets here, save that story. So I saved that story. So that's awesome. Tim, have you ever heard of Little Egypt here in Georgia?
Only Little Egypt I ever heard of was a stripper back in the day.
She's down.
Just saying.
She's down there off of Roswell Road, just inside 285.
What
I don't know. I don't know who Little Egypt is. My wife might be watching, and I promise I ain't got a clue. The glitter, I promise you, is from the jigs upstairs. I've been tying jigs all day. That's what the glitter is absolutely for. I promise. Come on in here, Farmer. Jump in here.
So that's your story. That's your story. You're sticking to.
I know you didn't come to jump in, but we can figure up the microphones because Paul's going to jump in here and get in here. Actually, take that seat so Paul can adjust. Well, he's got his stuff in
I
there.
can move it.
Got one next to Danny. That one's ready.
Well, we're gonna get this stuff everywhere so Paulie can jump in. How you doing?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Oh, good. You know how this works.
That's right.
All
I
right,
didn't come
so-
to get on the table. I just
Well-
come to watch
Well,
him speak.
Well, you can ask questions too. So this man's he likes to power fish too. So this is good. So we're going to get into it. So let's go ahead. We've been doing this for about 36 minutes. Let's jump right on into the fishing techniques and stuff like that you use. So the first time I met you, you come in and you talked about spinnerbaits.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the first time, so you stayed here about 3 hours and we just talked.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, not that you didn't have no go home sense. I was like, man, this guy knows a lot about spinnerbaits. I mean, listen, my knowledge of spinnerbaits I talk intelligently 5 minutes. And at 3 hours, you were still going I'm like, man, this guy knows his stuff on spinnerbaits. Self-described power fisherman. What is it about the spinnerbait that just makes you think it is the end all of bass lures?
Well, not the end all,
But you know what I mean. It is the thing.
I've caught probably. I think last time I counted, I've caught something like 400 fish over 5 pounds on spinnerbait.
Don't flex on us.
But that's why one of the good things about keeping up with this stuff. You can look back and see what works and how good it's worked over the years. And I mean, it's pretty much worked from day one.
Right.
I think I had 1 year, I caught like 59 fish over 5 pounds in 1 year on spinnerbaits.
That's amazing. Now, how far back is that?
That's not that far. That's like 2011.
I made the comment last week or the week before in the show that the spinnerbait is just not sexy anymore.
And it's
You
funny.
do, but I fish with you. You like it.
But
it.
You like it, but you're different.
If you watch MLF, you don't see a lot of those guys throwing blades.
They
I
don't-
was amazed when I watched Gerald Swindle over on Neely Henry not too long ago, and he kept throwing a buzzbait. And I thought, I'm 99% sure that if he would have thrown a spinnerbait, he'd have caught more fish. Because I fished that Coosa River grass a lot. And
So you're here sitting. If the pro would call me, I could tell him what to do.
I've just seen the results. I can go down a stretch of grass with a buzzbait and maybe catch one or none and turn right around and go right back up with a spinnerbait and catch half a dozen.
And what is it about the spinnerbait that you think is just, what is it?
Sometimes they just will not take a bait off the top. They just are not going to do it. Why? I don't know. I mean, you're talking about the difference of that much,
Right? Yeah.
but they won't do it.
See, and I'm looking at some of the comments, Alex Green, with all the crazy swim baits, my personal best largemouth is still on a spinnerbait. Jeremiah says spinnerbait got replaced by the chatterbait, but it's actually the better big fish lure. And that's kind of what I'm saying is everybody wants to throw, all I hear is this, jackhammer,
I told you the other day I never
Jackhammer.
caught a fish on a chatterbait. I
jackhammer.
finally caught one.
You did? Did you go out there just to do it? Now, but now you
I throw the jackhammer a lot.
You
and the thunder cricket.
But you throw a spinnerbait a lot too, though. It's not like you're exclusively one or the other.
Well, I'm also targeting at different fish when I fish them too.
I got you.
The jackhammer and the thunder cricket, I'm skipping around
You,
docks.
hey, you know what? Look at the camera and
I don't lie. I
look at
don't.
the camera and introduce yourself again, though.
I'm Jonathan Farmer.
That's right.
Oh.
All right. He's our baby faced fisherman
That's
right here. So, but he grew up on Notley, and this is and again when he was in here, he told me a story about Notley. I may have told it to you. I may not have told it to you, But I want everybody to hear this story because this is for Notley.
I wish I could find the magazine that it was in.
Listen
it was
to this.
in. I'm pretty sure it was in a old Georgia Sportsman magazine from over 30 years ago. They were asking 3 pros, experts in Georgia, what would be their number one lake to catch a 10-pounder on. Of course, somebody said West Point way back then, and I can't remember what the other one was, but Orlando said Lake Notley.
Orlando Wilson. Yep.
And the guy was like, what? And he said when he was in the Yellow River Bass Club, Yellow River Bass Masters, whatever, he said they fished a night tournament on Notley. His club fished a tournament. There was another club had a tournament. His club was one with one single fish that weighed 3 pounds. The other guys had 9 bass that weighed 101 pounds.
9 bass at 101 pounds.
From 8 to 13.
On Notley, on your beloved,
My beloved.
your
Notley.
beloved Notley.
Have you ever heard that story?
Mm-hmm.
You
I've
have?
heard that. Sir.
Okay.
I've heard that story.
You believe
That's
it?
what.
Do you believe it?
Oh yes, I believe it.
Okay. All right.
For sure, because I had a buddy of mine not 4 or 5 years ago. He weighed 32 pounds and something in him, 5 fish.
They're
Well,
there.
yeah, but I mean, you're talking 9 fish that weigh 101 pounds. You're talking over 10 pounds
Oh, yeah.
average.
It's very easy in the springtime to catch multiple 10-pounders.
Yeah. Well, I think this was at night, so it probably wasn't in the early spring. I'm guessing it's
That's a
probably
little bitty lake
a summer. Yeah, I
for a
know.
big lake.
I've been there a couple of times.
He took me a few months ago. I love the lake. It's a great little.
I was up there a long time ago. I had no clue what I was doing.
Well, I didn't either that day either, so that's a whole nother ballgame. Hey guys, real quick, if you're a Facebook user, please go to www.streamyard.com/Facebook and put your name in there. So in the comments section, when we're reading the comments, we get one like Kurt Weehunts up there where he talks about Ryan Coleman and Spot Sticker, why they sell so many mini-me's and stuff like that, because it works. It's a good spinnerbait.
Jonathan.
yes, sir.
But then we get spinnerbait. We get Facebook user, and I really would like to call you by your name. Unless you just don't want to, and that's fine. If you're just kind of,
This your
You know,
homemade one?
Yeah.
you're just kind of, scoping us out here, and you're shy, that's fine. But did y'all see?
I just don't see a lot of. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Oh hell yeah, y'all want the show? Y'all can have it.
No, I'm just looking.
Well, I'm just playing with you. I was just playing with y'all. Did y'all see MLF Lambert slanging that big spoon yesterday? Lots of conversation about mouth hooking versus snagging them. What are your thoughts on this tactic, Mr. Hancock?
On which tactic? you're talking
So he's basically got a big old spoon, and so there's not going to be any parking Saturday at Notley. Promise. Well, listen, hell, there ain't a lot of parking there anyway. So if we're being honest, but I think what he's saying is, okay, so look, they got a big old spoon, get your big treble hook off the back. You're doing a little bit. You're probably catching a lot of foul hooks and stuff like that. I'm assuming that's what he's talking about. If I signed in once, does that always keep me signed in? Apparently not, because you're still a Facebook user. So not sure why we don't know. We don't listen. I mean, that guy that owns Facebook, he's probably watching tonight. And if he is, he shouldn't wear ear protection when he's throwing spears. Did y'all see that video?
Mm-mm.
Oh, the guy, I can't pronounce. What's the guy that owns Facebook? Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg, yeah.
Zuckerberg. So I guess, that probably just sent an algorithm somewhere. That joker was out there throwing spears and stuff like that. And I don't know whatever the hell he was doing, but he was throwing spears at a piece of wood. He had ear protection on. Nothing says metrosexual. What?
Danny, I got a question for you.
Oh Lord.
Flutter Spoon was the thing.
The Flutter Spoon on
when I first
Latham.
started fishing Latham.
Yes,
Everybody was throwing that license plate Flutter Spoon.
absolutely.
How do you feel about that?
I suck at it. Now, here's the thing. I volunteer him as tribute. Listen, I really was never big on the Flutter Spoon thing. I will say this. Back a few years ago, before Latham really got fished out, and it is going, I'm sorry, we'll get back on your thing. It is going under a little rehabilitation stage right now. The fish were suspended a lot. And so that, you could go find big balls of bait, find suspended fish. That spoon bite it worked. So it was very easy to go out there for those that knew what they were doing. Now, come fast forward, and a lot of the fishery got really hit hard. I don't know that spoon is as effective. As far as the hookup rate, whether they're catching them in the mouth or not, I don't know. But I think the gentleman that was talking about that said there's a lot of foul hooking going on
There was
with
a
the
lot
big
of
spoon.
There was a lot of controversy about this last tournament because he had the live scope and he was throwing to them. And as it sunk down, he'd see it sink past a fish, and he'd jerk.
There you go. So his ass might have been snagging them.
So he was foul hooking a lot of fish because they were swiping at it, but as they swiped at it, he'd hit again and hit them in the side or something like that.
The guy had to turn loose a new world record bass in California because he says he accidentally foul hooked it, which I believe him, or he wouldn't have owned up to it.
That's right.
Listen, one more. You got that? It's coming in the comments right there. So here's my take on that. You know what? As long as they allow, and I am not knocking the technology, as long as they allow the technology, you can't police that.
No,
you can't police that, and you can't. So
I mean, that's how you fish a flutter spoon anyway. You let the thing flutter down to where you feel the fish are at. Hit it. You yank it hard twice or three times, and then let it flutter back down.
I mean, you're supposed to accidentally foul hook a fish anyway. I managed to hook one in the bag with a jerkbait, weighed almost 7 pounds.
It happens.
Yeah, and I thought I had Moby bass.
I bet you
I
did.
got all excited.
I bet you absolutely did. It's not fair to the fish. I get it. At some point, the electronics need to be limited. That I get too. It's just one of those areas. There's so much money involved in it right now that you're not going to take the electronics out of it. I'm sorry, but I'm just telling you, I'm going to drop a little hint coming here. In a few weeks, you're going to hear about this new alliance. That's all I'm going to say. And one of the things about this new alliance is it will have and create opportunities for those who want to competitively fish without such products to occur. That's all I'm going to say. Stay tuned. Couple weeks, it's coming. All right, so there you go. How you like that drop right there? All right, let's get back to the spinner baits. So you've got some laying out right here. You've got a lot of stuff right here. I noticed one common thing in all your spinner baits.
They're all white.
No.
Oh,
red hooks.
Yeah.
All right, so let's pull these puppies out. I said that to my wife one time. That didn't go over well.
Never does.
Listen, I'm serious to that. I'm not lying. Listen, my wife, honestly, she's gonna kill me if I tell her about this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. She sent me, she faced, what's that stuff on Facebook? FaceTime. That's how I'm old, man. She FaceTime, and all I could see was her forehead. And so she's talking. I said, "Where you at? Are you sitting on the toilet?" I could tell it was my bathroom. She goes, "I'm in the bathtub." I said, "Drop that camera."
It was nice knowing you because your ass gonna get killed now when you get home.
Drop that camera. I said, "Drop the camera." She goes, "No." That's how you know you're married. No. I mean, she didn't even miss a beat. No. All right. So anyway, look good. God.
Oh, God, I didn't cut this cable tie.
Listen.
For that. Look at that. Okay. Well,
that's okay. You got the cable tie. It's happy because I was talking about FaceTime in the bathroom.
Let's see. I wrote to what? 2.39.
2.39. I got the
up over your right shoulder.
Look, I got you right here. Flip it to me, baby. Oh, look at that joker.
That's a honk.
Listen.
Like throwing an A-rig.
Listen, I got an FX rod in here that will absolutely throw one of these things. If you're, what'd you say it was 2 ounces?
2.39.
2.39 ounces. We're going to be looking at the 7.6, 7.7.
I had a set of scales in my car. I was always afraid I might get stopped with scales in the car and they think I'm using it to sell dope.
Is this your ledge bait? You fish ledges a lot for this size?
No, I fish. The thing about those spinner baits like that are you can throw them a mile. Or I throw them
come on, farmer.
I'm sorry.
I throw them
right here.
Look at that joker.
I throw them on 65-pound braid.
You go ahead.
That's excellent camera work right there, Paul.
And you can throw that thing a mile.
That's exactly like that camera. I threw one of those clear across the lake with my line snap.
Yeah, well.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the setup.
If you don't use heavy enough line, it's going to happen.
What kind of line are we throwing a 2-ounce spinner bait on?
I'm throwing 65-pound braid.
65-pound braid, straight up.
Straight up.
What knot you tying to it?
I use the old improved clinch knot like I've used for 40-something years.
You should on braid.
On braid, and it works.
Yes.
Okay, so there you go.
I did a test the other day. I put it on the page.
Mm-hmm.
I got some 50-pound power post slick, and somebody made the statement about they didn't like slick because they were afraid it might slip. I said, okay, well, we're going to find out. So
right.
I've got a 25-pound boat anchor, and I've got a 50-pound scale weight. I took the braid. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. We want to make sure we get all your great voice in there.
I took the braid and I tied it to the 25-pound boat anchor.
Uh-huh.
Only when I use it, give it a couple of extra wraps. I'll give it like 8 wraps. and I tightened it up, and it picked up the 25-pound boat anchor just fine. I tied it to the 50-pound scale weight, and just as it began to move, it broke, but it didn't slip. I put a picture of it on the page.
There
It
you
broke
go.
about that far above the knot. It did not slip.
Yeah, Mario was throwing 10-pound line. So maybe you might want to reconsider your
Yeah.
equipment a little bit on that. And that reminds me of the first time I actually tried to throw a flutter spoon. We've talked about it. We was at Carter's re-reg, and we wasn't catching crap. And I've never thrown a flutter spoon in my life, so I just hooked it up to whatever it was. It might even been a finesse rod. I don't know. And I read back the first cast. I'm serious. That joker went, pow! And that thing just flew about another 250 yards to the air. And I went, sorry, Josh.
Well, I've got a little
My
video
bad.
of me throwing a spook the other day, and
Hey, what's up with you making videos calling me out on them?
I remember you expressed your love for Whopper Plopper, so I just dedicated that
like
one to
you
you.
said, I just assume eat dirt, but I saw that. I appreciate it. I was like, son of a bitch.
Called me out on it. Sorry, sucker.
And you caught one too.
Yeah,
I don't even want to hear it. I shouldn't even let you on the show.
I did that. I did that just for you.
I know you did. I'm like, kid, grief. I can't even look. Everybody's making videos calling me out on the Whopper Plopper. But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
But hey, that's
It is. It was great. I appreciate it. Okay, so back to but why the red hook, trailer hook? Is there any reason
I
why
just-
it's red?
well, if you notice, there's a little touch of red in the skirt too.
There is. And there's red eyes on this one.
This is the way it came.
That's the way it came. Okay, so you had nothing to do with the eyes.
No,
All right, but you did add a little bit of the skirt material.
I made the skirt.
You made the skirt and you added a red hook.
Yep.
Now, why?
I just think that red makes a little bit of difference.
Is it a confidence for you, or is it a proven in your logs? Do you ever write down in all your logs?
That I don't know. I don't know if I went to straight white all the time, it would matter or not.
Do you write down the bait you caught them on?
Oh God, yes.
The color. So if we went back,
Pretty much, I don't get into like it's got.
5 strands of red.
Yeah, I don't get into that detail.
Right. This one has okay. So what I find interesting, first of all, is I've eaten with stuff smaller than this. All right, that's a big old willow. What size willow is this?
7.
That's a 7. You said upstairs that you fish up
I've got
to 10s.
I've got a couple of 10s. I just didn't bring them with me.
Now that's willow 10s. You don't throw a 10 Colorado, do you?
No, I've got some.
What's the biggest Colorado blade you throw?
Well, I just made. Did I bring it?
Oh yeah, this is
That's an 8.
Look at okay, but this is clear, so it's
Go
not.
on.
So yeah, okay, so this
Talk about some thump.
why clear?
I'm just curious to see how good.
So this is an experimental.
I
bait.
used one the other day with a 5 clear, and I did catch fish on it. And I didn't fish all that long, and I didn't throw it that many times.
Well-
He tore the blade off of it.
A big thing in the wintertime is to throw a single bladed spinnerbait like that. A
Right.
heavy one, ounce or bigger.
But I catch.
But
a
you're
lot of
slow
fish in the
rolling, right?
wintertime.
You're slow rolling. You can throw a clear one in clear water like Lake Lanier or something like that and probably catch a monster.
What I'm thinking is that it
We
just.
just started something. Right
I mean, I know they don't. I know fish don't think, but,
But
something
do
about
they?
the combination of the thump
uh-huh.
and they just see this smaller profile might just trigger. I don't know.
We got some questions coming in. What's your opinion on the fish and game feeding times?
I believe
Like
them.
the soul lunar table.
Well, so I use it more for deer hunting. I'll be honest with you.
I personally, I don't. This is my opinion.
Yep.
I don't think they're worth the paper they're written on
Okay.
because I mean they can't. They make those things a year ahead of time. And
Right.
to me, weather is the determining factor, and they have no idea what the weather's going to be like.
That's true. So, but you don't think the moon
No,
moon plays as much phase?
I found there was a discussion about
And you
that.
don't mind me looking at this,
No.
right? I mean, hell, I just picked your book up and didn't ask. Let me have your
If
stuff.
you can read my scribbling, I'm going to be impressed.
Actually, you got very neat handwriting.
Yeah, well, you ain't seen it all.
Okay.
I
Well,
made some notes. I looked at something the other day, and I was like, "What the hell?"
Well,
did I
we're
mean
going to
by
get into
that?
this a
I
little
was
more
going to say,
after the thing.
I was going to say, I'm looking at his book. Do you see history repeating itself a lot?
Good question.
Or
Farmer.
do you see
In what respect?
or time of year? Say
Oh
I
yeah,
go-
there's some definite. I mean,
so like
but then again,
this year because of the rain and all the crazy cold weather,
this year was jacked up.
this year has not been anything what last year was at.
But he
and-
may have a year that's similar.
But he had a year.
But last year was my worst year ever. I didn't
Didn't it
fish.
turn pretty much hot?
I can't
got
deal
hot
with the heat anymore. That's
We-
one of the
we
problems
are-
we're getting on. I cannot.
Yeah.
And when it's 90 degrees and
What's
it
up,
looks like a
Harmon?
piece of glass, I can't handle it.
I got you.
I mean, I've got a big 6-foot diameter umbrella that I can pop up and fish under, and still That doesn't help. him.
That humidity kills you. Jonathan Doherty, what's up, everyone? How you doing, man? Let's see. Go back up a little bit. There was another question I
I
wanted
got to
to
remember to look at this.
Yeah, you got. Well, that's okay. I got you, baby. I'll handle you. I'll tell you. Oh, I missed. Oh, do you ever use? There it goes. It was under Ron. No, yeah, you were right there. Brian Markison. Do you ever use trailers on your spinner baits?
Every one of them's got a trailer on it.
Trailer hook?
Yep.
So that's
you
trailer.
mean a plastic trailer?
Yeah.
No, because there's really no room for one.
These are hidden weights, or they're so daggum heavy you just don't have room for them.
Those are just heavy. That's not a hidden weight, is it?
No, it's not. I just didn't know. Listen, this is what he did. Look at that right there. That's a zip tie.
I do that.
Whatever works.
Well, I do that
to
keep the skirt collars. Eventually, they'll rot and wear out. That ain't going to rot and wear out, and it doesn't affect the bait at all.
Or when True Grit comes out with their spinner baits here in the very near future, they'll be hand tied, and you'll have that selection. You can get it on our website.
Well, the thing about it is, if I want to change the skirt,
that's right.
I can cut the cable tie off and change the skirt.
That's right. That's right. But have you ever used like a little,
I used to use plastic trailers all the time.
You do, or you used to?
That's before I started using trailer hooks.
Okay. Because the big thing now is, hey, we got to buy the Kitech, stick it on the back of it.
I used the thing, and I'm going to go ahead and just give props to a guy I hadn't seen any. I don't even know who was watching, but he was a guy I used to be in the bass club with back in 1980. I never got to fish with him, but he's the one that got me into this junk, into spinnerbait stuff.
Right.
I told you we fished a tournament on Sinclair back in 1980, and he won it with 9 fish that weighed, I'm wanting to say 27 pounds, but I looked in my book and it said 24, but he had one that weighed 9.7. And I'm like, wow. And then we fished a tournament at Hartwell, the next 2-day tournament at Hartwell in April, and the guy that won it had one that weighed 11.2, which is still the biggest bass I've ever actually laid eyes on.
Right.
And he caught it on a spinnerbait. I hung something monstrous that day on spinnerbait, but it came off. And that just lit a fire under me. And then I started building my own. I've been building my own now for like,
we love your voice.
30-something years. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I was going to say, up until 2 years ago, my best fish was on a spinnerbait.
And think about, I have never caught one over 9 pounds on a spinnerbait. I caught
it was 9.8 on Notley.
I caught a 16-pound. I caught a 16-pound hybrid on that. Yeah, that's what I said.
Do you pour your own?
No, God.
Okay,
no.
so you buy them that big.
And that's one reason I've never gotten into trying to buy them and make my own and sell them, because I can't get a steady, constant, dependable supply of heads.
Gotcha.
I want. And I thought about doing it, and I go, I'm 68 years old. There's no way in hell I'm going to start this crap now. I've got more spinnerbaits than I'm ever going to use.
You don't want to get in the bait business right now. Wyatt Richards, what a sales pitch. Hey, listen, you got to slide them in there where you can. That is something that Mr. Paul has been working on me very well. Just absolute, throw it in there when you can.
Oh, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I saw somebody ask something about Terminator spinnerbaits.
Here we go. Listen.
When they came out, I thought,
right there, Mr. Chris Pugh, right there.
Because mine break after a while.
And let me say this to him. Appreciate you tuning in. He is actually, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, he is a new Fish North Georgia group member.
I saw his
so
post.
Absolutely. Thank you for showing up tonight.
My problem with the Terminator was my spinnerbaits there's one reason, if you notice, most of mine are the twist bend.
Yes, I have noticed that. I was going to ask you about that.
They're a lot stronger than
they last longer. The R bend will bend, and after you straighten them out a few times, they're going to break. And at the end of the season, I'd have dead spinnerbaits laying all over my boat.
You can do a tweak to kind of eliminate that a little bit. You can take a skirt ring or anything like that, a real tight skirt ring, put it over that R bend, and it'll keep it from flexing and bending out as much.
Look at you.
Mine would just get totally straightened out sometimes.
Right.
So anyway, I saw the thing about the Terminator always going to shape and all that. So I bought one, and I caught 3 or 4 fish on it. And then one day at Wise, I went to make a cast and I stopped, and it just came apart. And
I had the same trouble with one.
Screw that.
Absolutely. That's right.
I'll just make my own.
Bill Holcomb, thanks for my FX rod. Love it. I've caught over 8 fish over 4 pounds since I got it 2 months ago. FX rods are absolutely a great rod. We got all of them upstairs. If you want to come by the shop, I'll definitely once you get them in your hands, I'll be honest with you, and just feel them. A lot of people, they got their NRXs, they got this, they got that, but once they touch it and it feels comparable, listen, it's very, 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 very good product. So we're about 1 hour in. It's time to do the question of the night. I'm going to do that, and then we're going to get to Jonathan's question right there. That'll be the first question up once we get back from the question of the night. Now, I was going to have you sing tonight. You didn't know that.
Oh, hell no.
I was going to listen. I
Watch
actually
him get up and leave.
there you go. I was going to have him recite the words of
I'll be home before dark.
of a Jay-Z song.
Well,
And
maybe
then
not.
I went to put up the lyrics, and I said we can't say half that stuff in here, so we're just going to do a question of the night. Now, to answer this question of the night, the winner, the first one that comes up in the comments, they're going to win a Nichols Lures. I'll give you the choice. I've got an straight all black spinnerbait. Andy Middleton will throw those things day or night. He likes black. He said there's only one type of buzz bait, and it's black. That's all he throws. That's Andy. Or you can have there's a little blue glitter. And we've got a couple different variations of a Georgia Blade Night spinnerbait. So if you answer this question correctly, first one in the comments, I will send you both, one of each, Nichols Lures, Buzzbait. I said spinner, Buzzbait, Night Buzzbait, and Georgia Blade Night Buzzbait. So here's the question. You guys ready? You remember what we're going to do?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what does... You got to pronounce it. Hell, I can't say that, buddy.
Nanichito la Hookley took.
What does... Say it one more time.
Nanichito la Hookley took.
What does that mean in English? All right, first one that answers that. We talked about that earlier. Did you miss that part?
I missed that part.
So you're not going to get it, huh? You're not going to get that. So in the comments, the first one that can answer that, I will tell you it's Choctaw, right?
Yep.
What do you think about when I caught a big fish? Kurt Wehunt, there you go. Somebody paid attention. Brian Markinson, you were close. Free bird. There's always that free bird. I fished a river. This is great. I love it when people come in and stuff like that. Listen, Brian, hey, I appreciate you. I love you, man. You know you was in the shop earlier today, but Kurt Wehunt got it in quicker. Now, I want to give you Facebook guys a little hint. If you'll notice when I ask a question of the night or something like that, the YouTube guys always win.
Comes in a lot faster.
It comes in faster. So there's your secret. So if you're watching on Facebook, go to YouTube at some point tonight after the show, subscribe, and next Thursday night, when I have Ryan Hanks from Cast up from Florida, and we're going to talk about saltwater lures that are being used to absolutely freaking hammer spots on Lake Lanier. That's next Thursday night. Listen, be on YouTube. So when I ask a question, you got a better chance, because you Facebook guys get your ass kicked every week, if we're being honest. That very rarely does anybody win on Facebook. But that's next Thursday night. Ryan Hanks with Cass is going to be up here. There's some video, and I'm going to wait till the day of that shows this topwater bait they got. And you talking about the spray it throws. And they're just, him along with Mac Farr, they're busting stuff. Plus, they've got this spoon. It's a type of spoon. We talked about it, but the hooks are in a different place, something like that. He's bringing them all. They're going to be available too. So we're definitely going to have fun next Thursday night. But let's get back to power bass fishing. The first question I was going to ask, let's go back to that question real quick. If you remember, listen, Brian, on my screen, I was first. I love you, buddy. But hey, listen, I just got to be fair. And here it wasn't going up a little bit quicker. If you a little more up that way, yeah. There was a question right before, right there. Let's see. Which blade do you like using the most?
50-50. Sometimes I'll use Colorado. Sometimes I'll use Willows.
Okay, so let's just go. What dictates whether you use one or the other?
Sometimes if I'm not getting bites on one, I'll try the other.
Damn, listen, give me a little bit more than that. You're killing me.
Also, if the dirtier the water, the more. Well, I really can't even say that.
Hold on a second. We may have some controversy. Wyatt Richards was before both of us. Is that true? Let's go back real quick. And I'll be doggone if he was, wasn't he?
Sure was.
I think it takes a second to shake out.
Because it looked like Kurt come up quick. All right, so listen.
Oops.
I'll just send both of you some. So Wyatt Richards, send me your man. This is where I get in trouble. Paul-
You ain't never gonna make any money.
I never make any money. One night I had to give away 2 fishing rods.
Oh, good God.
Wasn't you here that night, Paul?
I believe I got one.
You got one, and Paul was the recipient of one.
Oops.
Okay,
How
well,
about
Wyatt
him?
Richards, there you go. According to our thing, we're going to blame it on the producer. But according to this now, you are the first one. So you and Kurt Wehunt, I will definitely award some prizes to. All right, anyway, so let's jump back on it. Why do you like a Colorado? What are you looking for when you're throwing a Colorado blade?
Sometimes I'll throw it in dirtier water, but then again, back in the day on Lake Ackworth, when I'd fish down there a lot in the spring,
The willow. But that's got a Colorado willow combination.
Well, that's just a tandem willow.
Okay, well,
But I mean, the Colorado doesn't do a whole lot.
gotcha. Okay.
But you know, people say use the bigger Colorado blades in dirty water, but use them at night.
Do you use hammered blades?
I don't really much anymore because hammered blades are heavier and it takes more speed to turn them, to make them to turn right. You can't fish them as slow if you want to.
Okay. All right.
So I'm usually 90% or maybe 100% all painted blades now.
Really? Unless you're throwing this clear one.
Yep. And I'm just experimenting with it. They haven't been in the water yet.
But I've noticed that on this clear one, it's very light compared to a metal one.
It's also, we got a deep cup to it.
It does have a deep, it's supposed to like a B
That's
cup.
a good thing about those deep cups. They don't roll. You can put a deep
Have you
cup
seen
spinnerbait blade
You
on
ever throw one like that? Feel how light that blade is right there.
You can take a number 6 or number 7 deep cup blade and put it on a 1/4 ounce spinnerbait and it won't roll.
I got you.
So this blade will actually rise up a little bit easier than your.
We'll find out.
All right, so this is interesting. Jeremiah put out this comment. What do you think about this? I use double willow leaf blades more on shad lakes and Colorado blades more around bluegill. Willow blades are also better for speed.
I'm going to say never use double willow.
And just don't like it, or just not your style.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I've like I say, I've caught a ton of bass on that rig right there. And the double willows might work.
What is the one mistake a man can make when throwing a spinnerbait?
Throwing too light a one.
Throwing too light a one. So you're guilty of that.
I'm guilty of that.
I don't use anything under a 1/4 ounce, under 3/4 ounce.
So that's what happened.
Wow.
Ever.
Well, you can burn a 3/4 ounce and keep it up.
Yeah, but that goes against. I mean, hell, we don't even sell them that big. A lot of companies don't sell them that big.
That's why I have to make them.
So you're telling me there's a market?
As far as I'm concerned.
So what's heavy to you?
Heavy to me is 3/4 ounce to an ounce.
That's heavy.
That's something that I'm going to go ledge fishing with. I'm going to keep it down. Keep it down. I'm slow rolling it.
Appreciate it, Kurt. Yeah.
But other than that, not really.
Oh, Mr. Brock Turner has tuned in for the night. Definitely. How you doing, sir? Like that. The heavier, the better. So, I like. Listen,
sorry, Robbie.
Yeah. Don't talk about Ackworth too much. I understand. So the heavier, the better. He talked about Ackworth back in the day, if you remember.
Yeah. Back in the day was one thing. Now it's a totally different world.
So the heavier, the better on these spinnerbaits. Now, though, but you're heavy whether you're fishing a 5-foot farm pond or a 50-foot. I mean, you're heavy no matter what.
Yeah.
You're just gonna reel it fast.
I mean, if I want to make something different, I'll make it. I can carry the stuff in the boat to take the blades off one, put another blade on, do whatever I want to do.
Big baits equal big fish. That is a saying. I get that, but you can't get little ones busting things.
You'd be amazed how many crappie I've caught on this.
Oh no, well, crappie, yeah, no, they seem to show up in some of the stranger places.
Likewise, I used to catch crappie all the time on this thing.
Bill Holcomb, what's the reason for a heavier spinnerbait?
You can,
and I'll get you.
It's something I think they've never seen. A spinnerbait that big, that deep, moving that fast.
Okay,
you can fish this comfortably 6, 7, 8 feet deep, and they've never seen it.
Just not getting down there. So you think a lot of guys are missing a lot of fish because they're not?
I don't think it. I know it.
You know, there you go. I said there's a little spinnerbait advice. What do you think about that?
I totally agree. I've come through with a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait, burning it across docks and stuff like that, and then go to a heavier one to get just a little bit deeper while I'm still burning it, and then start wrecking on them.
In the same spots.
In the same spot.
The closer you get it to the fish, the more bites you're going to get.
Nickel. Yeah, you go. Sometimes it is just that simple, ain't it?
Yeah.
Nickel or gold for Colorado blade. I like the 3/4, but varies on the blade color. He came in and bought quite a few from us the other night, especially the night blades. And let's talk about the night blades. A lot of people use a big Colorado at night, and a lot of the companies offer it in black. They'll offer it in nickel. They'll offer it gold. Does it really matter
When
to you?
this time, well, usually in April and May, I go to Allatoona a lot in the mornings trying to topwater fish.
Right?
I love topwater better than anything.
Oh, well, why are we talking about it?
Well, we talk about that. I mean,
All right, we're gonna transition
but
quickly.
top water is my.
Topwater,
I mean,
topwater.
I'm not saying I catch a lot of fish, but it is my favorite way to catch
Right?
fish. I would rather do that than eat when I'm hungry, and obviously, I like to eat.
I'm not saying
But
That's best a meal.
but
that. Right.
but I'll go up there in the mornings, and sometimes I'll get there an hour before daylight, and I will just throw this around till it gets light,
Okay.
and catch a lot of bass on this little thing. Well, it's still pitch dark.
And just wait, and then transition to top.
Then
water.
once it gets light enough, and they don't seem to want to hit top water real good in the dark from what I've seen, because this happened in September several years ago. I heard about in the front of the dam out in 125 feet of water, right around daylight, the hybrids and spots would come up out there in September in 125 feet of water
Right.
and just go crazy. And so I went out there one morning, and there was already 4 or 5 boats out there. Everybody just go out there and get there early and just sit and wait. Just sit there with your lights on until waiting. And once the light got to a certain level, they just start popping. I've got a video on YouTube, and it's public, of one of those days. I caught like 4 in 10 minutes
Right.
on a little clear on a spook, on a little clear spook.
It sounds like Hiawassee. Hiawassee does the same thing up in North
But I had
Carolina.
never,
With them small
I would have thought that in September, out there in the middle of that big open deep water in front of the dam, that would be happening.
Right.
But it went on every morning for a week, because I was up there every morning for a week.
You riding it while it was going on.
Hey, God, yeah.
I don't blame you.
And it was a hoot. But the light had to get to a certain level before you saw any action at all.
Right.
And then once the sun got up, it was like they were vampires. They're gone.
All right. We're kicking quick. What's changing? People notice that. What's your favorite topwater lure? So let's just kind of transition into
Spook.
topwater. Spook. Old school.
That's what I learned to use.
You throw the big spooks.
I throw that one, the big one, and this one.
All right. So this is basically a clear. That's about a 4-inch spook.
I've done some. It's a junior spook.
I've
done some-
junior spook.
I bought it clear, and I did put little touches on it.
And you have one of these little hickey majiggers.
Yes, sir.
That are.
and it works.
Tell
Front
everybody
runner.
what that is.
It's a front runner.
Front runner. And its sole purpose is.
You tie your main line to that, and then you run back a drop line,
Which
18
is-
inches, whatever.
And you got braid from the
I
front
got
runner.
50-pound braid because I learned the hard way.
Right.
I had 20-pound mono broke, then I had 30-pound braid broke, so I went to 50-pound braid.
Paul, they'd like a close up, please, sir. That's right. So one thing, he has done a few little modifications. All right. So
I put some kind of die cut prism tape on it,
let me get this.
and then I just kind of
My shirt is a background. Can I see?
gave it a
And then you decided to start
put some eyes on it, put a little red on it, and
break it.
gave it a dusting of iridescent spray paint.
Okay. Looks like a bad prom date right there. Maybe I can't get a good picture of
And I changed out the front hook. Well, I put hooks on it.
Right. Always red again. We're back to the red
I
hook.
always
Yep.
change red treble hooks on my top
Okay,
waters.
so this, let's see. All right, so this is a front runner. All right, we're back to the front runner thing. So you're hooking your line up to this. You're pulling this.
Mm-hmm.
And how many fish do you catch on the front runner?
Not as many as on the spook, but I do. I've got a picture somewhere of I've got a striper on the spook, and I've got a spot about 13 inches on the front runner.
Now, how does that affect the walk the dog action?
Not a bit.
So you can still walk the dog with the front runner.
Just fine.
All right. Now, why? I've seen this before. We talked about it a long time ago on the show. People don't produce this front runner anymore. I've actually had people ask me if I can make them front runners.
You can buy. You can still get some on eBay, but my God, they think a lot of them.
That's what I'm saying. Why is it falling out of favor?
I don't know. I bought some guy had some unfinished ones, and I bought those.
And just
And
them
I
yourself.
painted them white and painted little dots on them and sealed them up because I found out if I don't seal them up, they'll waterlog and sink.
Oh, the front runners will.
The front runners will.
Okay,
Yeah.
what are they made of?
I'm not sure. I thought they were made out of plastic.
Some front runners are made out
But
of balsa wood.
Balsa wood. Okay.
So you
but
can
the
kinda
naked-
make your own if you
the
need
naked
to.
ones that I bought looked like they were made out of wood.
Okay.
So I sealed them up with just clear fingernail polish.
Do you think that creates an advantage for you when you're
I
on
think
top
it
water?
gives the illusion that the spook is chasing this,
Okay.
and you're liable to get on both.
on both.
And the reason I found out about using the heavier braid because I got 2 big hybrids on it and they just destroyed the whole rig.
All right. So Ron, hey Ron, how you doing there? There's a new version of the front runner coming out. Okay, there you go. I've heard about it a lot, but I don't see very many of them pass through here on that. I mean, have you ever used one?
I've used front runner, actually a lot on the herring lakes where the herring will come up in the sun and they'll be busting on and I'll throw a front runner when I'm seeing a lot of schooling fish. I do the same thing with a fluke, what they call a donkey rig,
Double
But-
fluke.
the double fluke.
Right. Okay.
I've seen KVD use that,
Mhm.
and I've seen somebody else on the MLF do it.
Right. So Brock Turner, front runner has made us some money in the past. It works.
Well, I'll tell you where I got the first time I had my rig separated, and that was on Varner.
Back to old Varner. So yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, and I caught the fish, and I found the whole thing broke off,
Right.
and I found my spook floating, but the fish had hit the front runner, and I got the fish in on the front runner, but the spook was gone. And then a few minutes later, I found the spook floating.
Gotcha. So the fish.
So I had big fish on each one of them, and they just, it doesn't take.
and it finally tossed it. Okay.
It doesn't take much of a fish to break, 20-pound line. So especially if you get 2 big ones pulling against each other, and these were like 5-pounders.
Again, we're using just a standard old improved.
That day I was
knot.
using a super spook, the big one.
The big one on the
Yeah.
back. Do you tie the standard old clinch knot on
Yep.
those?
That's the only knot I use ever.
Why do you think it's fallen out of favor with so many people?
It beats me. I mean,
We've had this conversation with
I
other
have
people
never
before.
in all my years of fishing had a knot failure that I'm aware of. Never. I've
But now-
gotten broke off, but I mean, they got me up down in the rocks or up against something solid they could pull against, but I have never in my life had a knot failure that I'm aware of.
Okay, so what brand front runner do you use? You don't even remember the brand of that, do you?
They were supposed to be Norman blanks.
Norman blanks. So they were blanks.
Yeah.
And that's right. You said you painted them a little bit yourself.
I've got some Norman still in the package. New.
Gotcha. So if you were going to fish topwater right now, and you have put out quite a few, and I said quite a few, you've put out a few videos on the Fish North Georgia group page here recently. One, of course, you were kind of schooling me a little bit because you throwing a damn whopper popper.
I had to. I just had
I
to.
don't listen. You guys are sick. I don't know
When the
anything.
fish are up and busting, you got to give Danny. a hard
Hey,
time
let's
with
make a
that.
video and let's tag Danny in it. Hey, look. So you did one of those. I let it slide. I forgave you for it. But you've been doing some others here recently. What are you doing right now on top water? What are you throwing? We've been talking. I've seen some posts about this musky bait. Do you want me? Do you want me to take it out of
You
the
can
box?
take it out because it fell out a while ago anyway.
The old jitterbug. Now this one's quite big.
That's adult size.
Listen, that's right. Listen, size matters on this one, people.
Now, that
Look at
one-
this, and my God,
That one will never see the water.
Look at that. Hell, I could pick up
Wow.
ESPN in here with that.
That's a collectible. That's the wooden body.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's
But this is more suited for muskie, and you use it.
No, this is the one that I'm gonna use. I just bought this one the other day.
Oh my God, they still produce.
Yeah,
them.
there's
okay.
yeah.
All right.
where are
so,
you going musky fishing at?
I ain't
but
going
he's not.
musky
He's
fishing.
taking these for bass.
Oh,
I've got a video. I've
He's
got
bringing
two.
out the big boys.
I've got 2 videos on the group page where I caught 2 bass on
Ain't that
one,
impressive?
and neither one of them weighed 3 pounds.
What is
I
it
don't know
about
how
this
many times I've
jitterbug?
caught a 1.5-pound fish on a 8-inch bait.
Oh, it happens, right?
I've got
No
a picture
doubt.
somewhere of a spot about this long hanging on a 8-inch King Kong swim bait.
So this we've had this conversation, and it comes right back to it. This bait has been around
81 years.
81 freaking years and still catches fish.
Yep.
Why in the hell are we throwing all these other new fang dangle things?
Because the pros come out and say, you got to have this.
Are those heading Stone Cold Steve D?
Arbogast.
Arbogast right there. So And this one's wood. That one's not wood. So that's a newer one. That's a
Yeah, these are plastic.
that's plastic. This is an old school wood one.
That's one you put in the shadow box and frame it on.
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
So
that's why I told you I freaked out.
That's why I asked if I could touch it.
That's why I freaked out when I told you I couldn't find them yesterday.
That's right.
I got to looking for them. I was about to lose my mind.
But
That's
again,
like one of them old Zero spokes, the white with the red heads.
yes. Why though? But why?
I've got one of those. Do I need to keep it?
You need to keep
You
it.
need to keep it.
I was
and put it
fishing
up.
with a guy, and he was using one of those white with the red head, and he stuck. I thought the bass weighed 414, and I don't know what I could not get the hook out of that fish. I could not. I had to cut the hook.
You don't? Do you change the hooks from the package? You put red hooks on stuff like that?
No, I don't think they make red hooks as big as what I
No,
need
they
for
don't.
this.
Seriously.
This one right here, before it gets you, I don't know. Those hook looks bigger than the ones that were on the old black one that I was using on that video.
Right.
I may stay with these, but what I'm going to do is, you see how the hook eyes are screwed into the body?
Yes.
I'll be unscrewing those and putting super glue in the holes.
Uh-huh.
I'll be taking the lip off and putting super glue in the holes.
Oh, just to make sure it don't
Just
pop
to make
out.
sure.
Okay, so that's your modification.
I had a 2-piece smaller jitterbug one time, and the fish
Pulled the hook.
left with the back end.
So you do that on the new products like that, or any crankbait? Do you do that on all crankbaits or just some like that?
You mean
Like
no crankbait? No,
or not,
crankbait.
any hard plastic or hard
No,
hard bait?
Well, your
Just on those.
your split rings will save you on your crankbaits. With those, it's just attached straight to the body.
See, that's something else I'll do when I re-rig this one.
Yeah.
I'll put split rings on it instead of just having it into that hook eye, because they can get a lot of leverage when it's solid and no give.
Put Alex. What about drilling and adding swiveling hooks, hook hangers? Have you ever done that? And yes, Sharman 1178. We do let Kurt hunt in here, but only when he's out on parole. So I'm serious. It's every couple of weeks. We let him. Is that Corey? Oh, there you go. It is Corey, ain't it? Yeah, now I put it. That's just like, what was that the other night? I ain't gonna repeat it. These names sometimes they get me a little bit on these things. So, do you ever do anything like that? Add a swiveling hook?
I don't know what a swiveling hook is.
Well, I mean,
I'm gonna put split rings on this. All this is just
that's right.
a screw eye and stuck in, and I'm not even sure how they got the hook on the cotton picking
It's a
thing. Now that I
Spro
look
thing.
at it,
Yeah,
wonder how they did get the hook on.
I don't know. So, where was it made?
Design and quality tested in the USA.
Okay, all right. So there you go. So,
Arbor Gas Lure Company, Fort Miss. Made in China. Thank you.
made in China. Well, listen, you can't knock it no more. Dadgum, everything is. Yeah, I am talking about Haywood, Mr. Wyatt. Y'all got me a week or two ago.
Where was this?
I'm not going to forget that. I'm reading all these names. Basically, you epoxy in a 300-pound swivel completely eliminates the leverage. So
Well, that's
think
kind of like
about
what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put a split ring on there.
and just for the leverage and all that.
I did that to that black one. I took it apart because I got to looking at it, and on the left side, the screw was about halfway backed out. One more good fish would have snatched it out.
So you mentioned topwater.
Mm-hmm.
I opened up his book right here to one page. All right. Now, this was not preset or nothing. Lure breakdown by month in 2007. Now listen, dude, this is kind of impressive. And we are currently in June. And so here's topwater. Now you've got green ink and red ink.
The green is for, let me look.
That's right. Yeah. So green ink and red ink in that chart right there.
Okay, the green is for total fish and the red is for keepers.
Okay, so
And the little bitty dots in there are for fish over 5 pounds.
All right, so listen to this. This is I like this crap. So in June of 2007, he caught 21 fish on topwater. 20 were keepers, 3 over 5 pounds. In July of that year, you caught 17 fish, 6 were keepers, and I only see 1 dot, so 1 over 5 pounds. But I say that, let me go back to May. On topwater, you caught 50 fish that year, 41 were keepers. So your top,
Really?
yes. So your top water.
That's why I make the books, because I can't remember.
So your top, So your top water hotspot in 2007 was May, June, July. You didn't even throw it in January, February, of course. March and April a little bit, but all of a sudden in May, it's like it turned on, and then
Well, that's postponed.
and in August it kind of petered out a little bit. For the year, 115 fish on top water, 92 keepers. What constitutes a keeper? Just by the lake or
12-inch.
12-inch. Okay, so 12-inch and 4. No, you had 4 over 5 pounds that year on top water. Do you remember? And I'm not going through the other books. Do you remember kind of back in the day? What was the big top water lure back in that time?
If you notice, you see top water, and then you'll see another separate category just for buzz baits.
I do.
I keep those two separate.
Now, okay, so let me give everybody this information, because now that he said that, this is pretty interesting. So we just pretty much, of the 115 fish he caught, the majority on top water in the top water section was May, June, July. Now, in the buzz bait, your first buzz bait catch of the year was in June that year. 1 fish, 1 keeper. July, 2 fish, 2 keepers. August, 4 fish, 4 keepers. September, 5 fish, 5 keepers. Now, here's something interesting. This is buzz bait. October, it jumps up. 10 fish, 10 keepers, 2 over 5 pounds. In November, 13 fish, 13 keepers, 1 over 5 pounds. All right. So why did you take buzz bait and top water and separate them?
They're just, because buzz baits you pretty much do one thing with.
And
you throw it out and you wind it back.
Right.
Top water, you got chug bugs, you got spooks, you got all kinds of junk. It's a whole, you got so much more things you can do with them.
So why were you not throwing a buzz bait in May?
Beats me.
Well, I mean, hell, you caught 50 fish on top water and not a single one of them on buzz bait that year. And that's that year. Let's go to 2006. This is what I like. This is pretty.
If you want to get your eyes popped up, and go to 2011.
All right, let's go to 2011.
I don't know about top water, but
I'm telling you, dude, you're gonna let me write a book on all this information one of these days. I'm going to write a book. All right, so here we go. Well, 2011, you didn't catch crap.
Well, there you go. But look at spinnerbaits.
All right, so guys, you can't see what I'm reading, but right here. So in 2011, he caught a total of 20 fish, 20 keepers on top water, 5 fish on 5 keepers, the buzz baits. You caught, hell, you didn't catch nothing that year. But the spinnerbait in March, I'm going to read from March to December of that year. So I'm going to give you first the total amount, then the keeper, and then the over 5 pounds. That's what you consider the trophy, right?
Yep.
Okay. So
I just get big fish. 8 pounds is a trophy.
Okay. All right. There you go. So spinnerbait, for some reason, was really hot in 2011. On March, he had 35 fish, 34 keepers, 9 of which were over 5 pounds. April, 32, 32, and 1. May, 78, 64, and 7. June, 16, 16, and 4. July, 26, 26, and 7. August was a little bit of a slow month for you. You only caught 9 fish that month and 9 keepers. But then in September, it kicked right back up, 22, 21, and 8. October was 34 fish, 33 keepers, and 9 big fish. November, 26, 26, and 6. And December, 21, 21, and 8. For a total of 299 fish caught on a spinnerbait that year, 282 of which were keepers, and 59. So you were holding it right that year. 59, what you would consider a quality fish over 5 pounds. Now, you yourself said, check out 2011. So you remember that year fondly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think I had 76 or 79 over 5 pounds that year.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. If we go to the total fish caught that year, and guys, I'm like I say, he's got worm. Let me just tell everybody kind of how you got it broke down. Worm or lizard, crankbait, spinnerbait, topwater, buzz, spoon, jig and pig. Now I know you're old school because you say jig and pig. Yeah, you showed me.
That's what I caught my biggest fish ever on.
How big was it?
10.8.
10.8. But you showing your age when you saw the old pig and jig. I know that's what I grew up calling.
I hate they quit making them.
I know. Oh man, seriously, I don't know why. You got a flipping jig. Looks like, is it flip worm lizard or
Flip a worm and a worm or a lizard,
flipping a worm or a lizard,
and then flipping a jig.
finesse, drop shots one, trick, fluke, Cinco, jerk bait, glider, and swim bait. So that's how he breaks it down.
I had to change it because I wasn't using swim baits in 1985.
I got you. So you have but let's go 2011. What was it about that year that you discovered? Because you caught a lot of fish on a crankbait too.
Yeah, those are my two.
Crankbait, spinner baits.
Yep.
So what was it that year though that made the spinner bait bite? Was it a product? Was it how you changed fishing it?
Nope.
Was it the lakes you fished?
Nope.
Okay,
I don't know.
You just know that for that year, for some reason,
They were on it.
you absolutely waxed them. You caught 59 fish over 5 pounds that year on a spinnerbait.
Yep.
You caught, but comparatively speaking, you caught only 8 fish over 5 pounds that year. 1 on top water over 5, 1 on a buzz bait over 5, 7 on a swim bait over 5. So the 59 fish, 76 fish over 5 pounds, and 59 of them come on a spinnerbait. Now, at that time, were you using what you got in here now, where you're
Same
throwing?
thing.
So you're throwing a big ass 2-ounce spinnerbait, getting it down, burning it. Did you have a trailer that year? What did you do that year that made a difference?
I've been fishing this one right here for a long time.
Do you think it's head color? Do you think it's spoon color? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of the weight and the blade size, getting it down to where it needs to be.
So using the information and just say, you think a lot of people just don't fish spinnerbaits deep enough.
No.
What's your average depth you think you're fishing at? Are you 15 and below? Or
God, no. 8 feet or shallower. But if you take a 1/4 ounce spinnerbait and throw it out, you're going to keep it down 8 feet deep, 9 feet deep. You're not going to do it.
I won't throw a 1/4 ounce. I won't go that light.
I think I read somewhere where a 3/8 ounce is the most popular size of spinnerbait.
I will tell you right now, from selling them, it is
3/8 to a half ounce.
3/8 and a half ounce.
And
it's
I would
even
not
close.
use a 3/8 ounce spinnerbait anywhere.
Because you don't think it gets down. And,
No,
and then guys add these damn trailers on and it buoyant some more.
Yep. I mean, just stop and think about it. I mean, just common sense will tell you the closer you can get your lure to the fish, the more apt you are to catch fish.
That's true.
You know,
but I think
if
a lot
you're
of
throwing a
guys'
spinnerbait
mindsets
and
are
it's
pulling it
riding
up.
back up this far below the surface, you
catch one every
you
once in a
you
while.
go catch one once in a while. And for a lot of people, they don't realize that they can do better. They think a lot of people are thrilled to death. They go to the lake and catch 3 or 4 fish. I go to the lake and catch 3 or 4 fish. Unless they weigh 5 pounds or better, I'm going to be
You're pissed.
very unhappy when
That's fine.
I'm irritated.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you change the mindset of somebody?
He may have changed my mindset.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sitting going, damn, Saturday boner deep. All right, deep. What have I got upstairs that I can pull off the shelf to get deep?
Well, here's another thing you can do to make a spinnerbait real heavy. And this is something I picked up from Kevin Van Dam.
Uh-huh.
You've seen these long rubber core sinkers.
Yeah.
Take the rubber out of it, get some super glue, clamp it on the hook right there, go to town. You just added 3/8 ounce of weight to it. And if you want to take it off, you can take it off later. It's a little hard to get off, but you can take it off.
Right.
All you need is a good knife.
Now let
Hit
me.
him that little
And all you're doing is turning turning this into this.
But back to the 2011, I may be wrong about the date here, but wasn't 2011 around the time of that big drought we had and everything was so far down, or was that 2009, 2010?
I don't know. It didn't affect me.
Well, I'm
Not
just
the
saying,
lakes
Maybe
I
it
fish.
helped what you did. Yeah.
I'm wondering if it helped the spinnerbait bite because it pushed a lot of fish deep.
I don't know. I can't recall.
So what we need to do is when we're giving this information, everybody tonight can go back and look back at the weather and pull Lake Allatoona up on Google Earth or any Lake Lanier on Google Earth 2011, 2010 and see if the water was down. So that is a very interesting. That's a very interesting take. What do you think about it, Paul?
About what?
Any of this? I mean, what's your thoughts on this?
Which part?
Any of it? I mean, any of it?
I'm done.
Dive in here.
I'll move that junk
No,
for
you're
you.
good.
Set it, or you can set it up on the stuff.
I think it's really interesting. I had never. I'm kind of in the boat Farmer was in. I thought 3/8 ounce spinnerbait, maybe a half seemed heavy to me. But it makes perfect sense because you're talking about, and I was curious about, you're talking about you want to maintain that fast speed,
Yeah,
and get them to react, and so it makes perfect sense that you need that heavy bait to stay down and still fish fast.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of
And
people think they're supposed to bring them up, but you're saying stay
but
to them.
the finesse guy in me thinks, oh well, I don't care. I go small, I go slow, I go deep, and I just grind and just it's boring as hell. But it makes perfect sense. You want that reaction bite. You need to fish fast. You need to fish deep. So why wouldn't you go super heavy?
No,
this kind of speaks to the way I fish after a cold front.
right.
I don't. People say drag a jig, go slow. Not me. I'm throwing a spinnerbait. I'm throwing a crankbait.
Right.
Heat them up.
But Wyatt, listen, it doesn't matter what damn lake it was on. So I mean, still the numbers speak for itself because I've seen the same fishermen on Rocky Mountain or whatever in the same amount of months, and I've seen them zero.
I was gonna say,
I mean, I have fish tournaments. I mean, it's still.
I would say
It doesn't matter.
Two on the depth subject. This makes sense to me as a trout fisherman.
Right.
That when fish are in a deep hole, of course you have some that are looking up in the flow and are willing to come up and eat high in the column. But if you can get down, you have access to that many more fish. And so I think that's the game, is you always have a few that are willing to move a long distance. But
Right.
the majority, they want food in their face. They want more food, less effort. And it makes perfect sense.
This has worked on
Let me-
Ackworth, Wise, Neely Henry,
Yeah.
Varner.
So I have Rocky
Horton.
Mountain information right here too. So I mean, it is if somebody wants to see what he's got.
Spill the beans on Rocky.
No, this was from 01. I mean, you basically do it. I can tell you right now, if it's during the Rocky Mountain heyday in 01, the crankbait beat it. So I mean, you can say, well, it was on Rocky Mountain. The spinnerbait was hot. Okay, well, hell, in 2001, he caught 70 fish, 56 on crankbait, 33 on spinnerbait. So explain that if it's Rocky Mountain. So, I mean, it's very easy to say, hey, it was Rocky Mountain. He caught a bunch of big fish. Same with you, Fish Atlanta. Same thing. I don't know that you nailed it if you got the information from other years. So I would venture to ask, do you have the information to say anything different from other years on Rocky Mountain instead of just saying, hey, in 2011, that's all he fished? Because I'm looking at information from 99, 2000, 2001. Crankbait was better that year. So, maybe y'all explain to me why the crankbait beat it that year. Same lake. Was it the weather? I mean, what was it? So I either one of you are, it was easier in 2011. What made it easier, Fish Atlanta? And actually, I know you, and if you're welcome to come on the show and you can sit in this seat and I can ask it in person. The lake peaked. The lake peaked. I mean, that's very general. And saying, hell, the man Tim White up there caught 28 pounds last year, 5 fish to win a tournament. Tell me how the lake peaked. So, I mean, give me something more than the lake peak. That's not really scientific. That's not general. I mean, that's very general to say the lake peaked. I mean, so give me something more than just that.
I definitely want to take one of those up to and get something kind of like that up to Notley and fish that down.
Here.
Now, I ain't going to take your lures, but
I'll make another one. Take it.
That's not what I meant by it, but taking one of these up to Notley, ledge fishing it on Chickamauga. I mean, something like that's going to get down there.
What are you going to throw? What are you going to throw it on?
Probably a jig rod.
I mean, what line?
Oh, this 17 to 20 pound or bigger.
I'd go a 50-pound braid.
50-pound braid.
And be careful.
Hold on a second. DNR made adjustments in the bait, et cetera. It was just an easy year there. Okay, that's fine. You know what? I would like you to prove it. Prove to me and prove to everybody that's watching right now that the DNR bait change made it easy that year. When people are going to make comments, I would like, it's easy to make a comment. Let's prove it. So bring the information. Not just for Tim, for everyone. So, I mean, that's just, I just think that's very, very easy generalization. And,
This is an interesting one.
What is that?
I've never been a good log keeper. So
Do you track what you fish with and what doesn't work? i.e., 3 hours crankbait, no hits.
No, I mean, I'll mix it up. I'll mix it up. It just depends on what I'm fishing, what structure I'm fishing. If I run across a place where I think there's a fish and I don't catch it, doesn't hit a spinnerbait, it doesn't hit a crankbait, I'm going to whip out a finesse worm. And the thing about it is, I've seen them hit a finesse worm and they wouldn't hit an 11-inch worm.
Right.
I was on a lake one day. I threw an 11-inch worm. I threw a 7-inch worm. Nothing. I picked up a finesse worm and caught 2 over 6 on it. I'm like, what?
Well, I'm not going to say what lake, and I'm not going to say the lakes, but I got here's the information from 1996. 1996, and we got the lake, the weight, the time, and the exact bait. 1/2 ounce chrome blue R rattle trap. Black and blue jig with a number 11.
Wow, I was still fishing old jig then.
You were fishing the jig. 3/8 ounce white jig and pig. So
Can't go wrong with black and blue.
I mean, flipping pumpkin pearl lizard. This was on a 5-pounder here, black blue flash jig number 11. I mean, so
I used to use this on
again. I mean, like I said, if you're gonna come at it with some more information. That's all I'm telling you out there.
I used to
Don't
use
give me
this on Lake Wise.
generalizations. And why is that?
Just thought I'd try it. A lot of times I just try something, see if it'll work. You know, Bill Dance always used to say he liked any color worm as long as it was blue.
Right.
I thought I'm going to try a blue jig, and I caught fish on it. I caught big fish on it.
I can't say anything. I went to Weiss and I power fished the whole time. I chatterbait, crankbait,
Wise used to be,
and that's all I threw.
Wise used to be my favorite lake in the world. I had 10 over there one day that weighed 51.25 pounds,
Right.
and caught them all on that big spinnerbait. I mean, that was just,
ever use live bait ever? No, I think he's pretty much.
No. I caught my biggest fish ever on Lake Wise.
Me and Wise have
That's a great color on Wise.
Love-hate relationship.
I caught let's see. Where did I put that?
Okay, let's. Hey, do you mind if I? So you actually have a lunker log for Rocky Mountain during March 11. So I want to kind of read. Do you mind if I read the actual baits you used?
No.
5.9 caught on 3/3/11 SSKVD shad.
What was that?
Hold on a second. I'm going to read this comment. I rarely fish there. My friends and myself just caught big fish easy there in 2011. I remember others saying it as well. It was true 8 and 9 pounders were just caught regularly there in 2011. Well, hell, that was done last year too. I mean, my point being is it's very easy to somebody makes a comment and you say, oh yeah, I second that. And I mean, that's a little bit of hearsay right there. So that's just my point. So, I rarely fish there. I caught a 7.5 pounder last year in a tournament and I suck. So, I mean, what's that say? 3/4 ounce single booyah, number 6 booyah. That was on a 610.
Number 6 booyah.
Yeah. A 7-inch shad clone, 5 pounds, 8 ounces.
Oh, that was a big swim bait.
Okay. So you were throwing a swim bait back in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, my point being is it's documented. Those were out of Antioch. I mean, that's just Antioch. So here's Heath Lake. He caught a 5.5 or 5 pound, 8 ounce at 9:10 a.m. This was fished 666 of the year. And he caught it with a 1.5 ounce all white over. Oh, your handwriting's really getting.
So that's what I told you. You could talk about you want to do a book.
I am going to do a book. I'll figure it out.
Give us a little juice on Wise quick.
Wise?
Yeah.
I hadn't been to Wise in more years than I could tell you.
It's like the crappy capital of the South.
Used to, it would take it a lot of days. It took a 7 pound average to win a tournament over there. If you didn't have a 5 pounder, your boat must have broke down. But now, I mean, they went a whole year over there. One tournament trail my brother-in-law used to fish. They didn't catch 8 pounder all year. And I'm like,
It must have been easier that year.
so I just let it roll. I just quit going over there.
I know, it just irritates the shit out of
I mean, I got ran over there one day.
It just does.
And when I say ran over, I mean ran over.
If you've never been to Weiss, you better stay in the channel. If you don't,
You better hope you know where the channel
you
is.
better hope where the channel is. If you don't, You're asking for it.
I saw one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life over there one day.
What's that?
Two big old fat country boys in an aluminum boat. They got hung on a stump and they couldn't get it off. And I was fixing to go idle over there and tell one of them they could step off into my boat. And next thing I know, one of them's done stripped off butt naked, looks like a big hairy bear, got his butt turned towards me.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm blind. And he just jumped in the water and they got off. And but I've seen, I don't know how many times.
That's a good outcome though of that. When you start saying too big hairy guy. Oh, that's not a terrible outcome. You know, still.
I was hoping you weren't going to.
Oh God,
yes,
no.
we were getting some Brokeback Mountain. No Brokeback Mountain.
No, I'd have poked my eyes out.
That's right. So,
Go ahead.
no. Again, so back to the top water now. If we're throwing top water now, today, tomorrow, all right. Are you staying with the more of the
I'm playing with this. This is like an experiment,
right?
And as long as they'll bite it, I'll throw it. Because sooner or later I'm gonna bust a big one on it.
Right.
Hadn't happened yet. Of course, I've only caught 3 fish on it, but I only fished it for a couple hours, and then I picked up the whopper plopper and threw it for you.
Gotcha. You do it for me. I know. I hate them. Well, let me ask you this. Okay, so let's talk about the whopper plopper for a second. You got a question?
Yeah, no, I do have a question. And this is something that always weighs on me when I'm trying something new. What do you consider a fair shake for a different technique or a new lure or something that's kind of out of your usual lane?
If the conditions, are what I deem to be good for that lure, I'll throw it for an hour. And then I might not throw it anymore that day, but I'll try it again some other time. I'll keep trying it. I might try it. It might be 5 or 6 months, but the longer time goes on, probably the less time I'll try it. But if
there's a point though where it just
there's a point I'm gonna say,
rotation.
Yeah, that big snake lure I showed you.
Pick that thing up. I want to show everybody what you brought in here.
I would have worked on Oconee when I was down there.
Look at this
You
thing.
threw the snake on Oconee?
No, it would have worked. I saw 30, 40 snakes.
You gonna give me a zoom there?
Oh,
Paul, if you don't mind while you're up, look at this thing.
actually, that's large enough.
It is kind of large enough. You might not have to. I want to make sure. I mean, yeah, that's how many.
Tilt it back towards you a little bit.
Like tilt it, the
Tilt
sun,
The actual pack. There you go.
getting too much light on it.
Well,
I
now you
just-
keep freaking moving.
I know what I'm doing.
I just want to go buy one, take the hooks off of it, and stand near some pool and throw it over and reel it across the top of the water.
Have you seen how the action on that thing?
No, that's what
It looks more like a snake than a snake.
that's what he said earlier, and it does. And
I mean, you look at it and you think,
thank you, Paul.
did a snake slip up in here? I mean, it looks as much like a snake as any snake I've ever seen.
Yeah,
And why? Okay, so we're gonna bring up Jeremiah because Giles is on here tonight, and they throw that daggum Spro,
Rat.
the metrosexual rat that they throw with the morning dawn, the neon, and whatever. Okay, and I like to poke at them. I know they work, guys. I know they work. I like to poke fun at you, but why are more people not throwing jointed snake baits like that for topwater? It seems to be that could be the more natural bait.
Most people just aren't going to throw a big lure anyway, especially not one that big. That thing's a foot long, something like that.
But you said it was so realistic looking.
A lot of people haven't seen it. You can go on YouTube and I think it's called a Savage 3D Snake, and you can see the videos of it. Some are better than others. They show the action better. And of course, the videos you see a lot of guys catching big pike on them.
Right.
And but there's not a doubt in my mind that I'll catch a big bass on it eventually.
Well, I'll tell you this: when we were on Oconee, and it was this year, we were down there. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't Oconee; it was Sinclair. We were on Sinclair this year. I caught a fish, brought him up, and he had the tail of a snake sticking out of his gullet. There were so many snakes in that lake. One had ate one and had it down his throat.
Well, I saw a picture.
And then ate again.
I saw a picture somewhere, some guy that caught a snake and he picked it up and he looked and I didn't know if it was photoshopped or what, but you could see the snake's head sticking out of the fish's gullet looking out. And I'm thought, okay, I wonder if that's real but I know they'll eat a snake. Like I told you about the thing on Carter's a long time ago.
That's right. snakes are bad this year on Sinclair. Hey, yeah, I've heard they're really bad. You were sending me all kind of pictures of snakes from or alligators.
No,
Everything.
I send you the gators from Eufaula.
Yeah, like crazy lizards everywhere.
Damn near shot my screen.
That's right. There's some old school snake. Now, this is one I remember. Jeremiah does bring up a thing that Man's had the floating snake worm, like, or they had somewhere had the hard head, and you would buy the tails and all that.
I got one of those. It sucks.
You just didn't like it.
I wasn't impressed with it at all.
I would think a rubber attachment to a tail, it'd just get ripped off after about 2 or 3
I mean, I don't know how durable that thing is. I don't know if a big pile's on, if he's going to tear it apart or not.
So
I'll find out.
Didn't what about Doug Harmon? You remember the snake or the
bass professor?
The bass professor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me ask you this: what do you think about? And I say this because I was up in the shop the other day going through YouTube, and I pull up the Doug Harmon bass professor, and he is the king of catching the big bass over 10 pounds a lot, but he's doing it in a lot of the same ponds and stuff like that. I mean, but the techniques that he was using, do you remember back in the day those videos? Have you ever watched him?
I remember, the only thing I remember him using is a big rubber snake lure.
He used, yeah. I mean, so you don't remember seeing?
But he was charging, he was selling them, but he was charging an arm and a leg for them. I wasn't about to buy one of those. But these are reasonable. I've never given more than $30 for a lure in my life.
Fill up, be nice. All right, okay. So here's the deal, guys. Let me say this. Let me say this to all of you. I enjoy doing this show, and I like the comments because most people on there, when they're making the comments, all right, it's productive. Okay, it's productive. And so we have a good time. We're talking about fishing, but there's always a few of you that kind of have to get in and make it your own little personal playground. We'll just cut the comments off, and I'll just go back to just doing straight old podcasts, and we don't have to do this live. And if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. So I would appreciate y'all acting like adults. If you got little beefs with each other within the comments, that you do that separately and not on my show. So I would appreciate that, and that's the last time I'm going to say it. So again, let's make this like a fun night, and I don't have to sit here and watch, and have to officiate while I'm trying to talk to people. Now, this right here, yeah, and look, I done got Paul all flustered, and he's done took the camera off. I mean, seriously, guys. I mean, damn.
Hey, shutting her down.
Seriously. I mean, I got guys asking legitimate questions like, do you still use the normal size jitterbug and stuff like that?
Nope.
And I got others of you that act like, you're at like 10-year-olds on a damn playground, and it's getting really freaking old. And if you ain't got nothing nice to say about the person on there, just turn the damn channel. You don't have to be here. So I'm serious. I really hate having to stop doing this, but it's getting to the point where this is happening every single week. And some of you I'm friends with, and you can just go the hell on. All right. I'm serious. This is my show.
Don't sugarcoat it, Danny. Tell us what you really think.
I don't. I'm not.
Damn, I'm getting up.
Listen, I'm sorry. It's black and white. It's straight up black and white, guys. I mean, it's just getting old. All right. So seriously, and you guys are out there, you know exactly who I'm talking about. I mean, damn, I'm trying to, we're trying to talk fishing on a Thursday night. It's getting pathetic. So anyway, well, you know what? I mean, it just is.
Hey, call it how you see it, man.
That's exactly how I see it. Call each other up, get your numbers, and call them up. I mean, some of you just, and when I see you, and there's a couple of them, I'm going to see you here in the next couple of days. I'm going to let you know that you're one of the ones I'm talking about. So anyway,
I'll expect a phone call.
Anyway,
believe it or not, that was a deadly lure on Altoona once upon a time.
Fishermen are great counselors. Danny preaching facts. So how about them Braves? Hey, listen, Casey, I love
God.
you. You know I love you.
Oh, let's not talk about the Braves.
The Braves.
What the
No, I watched that
Listen,
crap
what
today.
happened? I saw Freddie hit.
They went.
We can zoom in because I don't want to talk about the damn bullpen.
They went.
Did the bullpen blow it again today?
Yes.
Yes.
Walked off again.
Seriously?
Yes.
Yep.
Didn't Freddie tie it up in the ninth?
Yep.
Yep.
And they went ahead.
And they went ahead 3-1, and then they turned around and gave up 3 runs in the bottom of the 10th.
Damn, I'll come up and I'll blow saves for like minimum wage if they'll let me throw it. So
That lure's not made anymore.
this and what is it?
It's a Rebel supernatural bass.
I thought that was a Rebel.
I caught December one day. I can't remember the year. I'm thinking 87, 88 on Altoona. It was down in the 20s that morning when I put in. The wind was blowing about 25 miles an hour. My trailer fell off the end of the ramp at Red Top. Got hung. I was out there wet, cold, trying to get it back up on the ramp so I could at least get my. And like I said, I started just to go ahead and load up and go back home. I said, no, I done gone through all this crap. I'm going fishing. I caught a 9.5 and a 7, both on that little lure that day.
Really?
I mean, you said that was in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm. December.
I throw the number 5 and number 7 Shad Raps all the time in the wintertime.
But that lure was death there for a couple of years, and then I got down to my last one. I wouldn't use them anymore. I had 2, and one of them, it was so cold I dropped it,
right,
and it landed on the foot pedal of the trolling motor, and the lip broke off.
Do you think there's any going back to old school baits because fish aren't used to seeing them? I find great success with Bagley, Spooks, and Ricos.
I still use some of the. I mean, this lure's been around for a long time.
Yeah, you showed me. Let me see that. Yeah.
I've caught.
Caught me right there.
I actually still use the old Bomber long A as a topwater lure instead of a jerk bait.
And he changed the hook on it to red.
This used to be death on Altoona, Ackworth, Wise.
Old Bomber.
Old Model A Bomber.
Model A Bomber. Do you have the fish numbers? Oh, you mean? Oh, let me see that. He wants to see the pic. Let me see that. Let me see that Bomber. Right
Bomber. There. They don't make that color anymore.
I want to try to get it out of the.
That's an 8A. I normally use a 7, but I bought an 8A.
So,
what
color would you consider that?
7ABY. They call it brown yellow.
Okay. The Fish Hawk. Pop that question up right there real quick. Do you have fish numbers on Altoona from 10 years ago, and how do they compare to recent years? And I mean, I can look at that and try to find it, but how about you have fished both lakes?
Altoona just started going downhill seriously in the 90s.
And what do you think was cause of that?
Used to, you could go up there and fish in December on a weekend and not see 10 boats unless somebody's having a tournament. You go up there now in December, you'll see 20, 30, 40, 50 boats. And they're not the least bashful. But you're going down a bank, they're not the least bit bashful about cutting you off. They'll pull 20 yards in front of you.
That's when you pull that big spoke out and send it right through their boat.
Well, I had some guys do me that way on Wise one time. I was flipping docks. And they literally pulled in front of me to the very next dock.
Right.
And I didn't say anything. When I got through that dock, I cranked up, idled around into the very next dock, jerked about a 4.5 pounder out from under it, held it up and looked at him. I said, this probably helps y'all, wouldn't it? And dropped it back in the lake. They cranked up and left.
I did the same thing in Oconee. Had somebody jump me, went right around them with a trolling motor.
I mean, how rude can you be?
5 pounder out from underneath it.
Yeah, I mean, how rude can you be?
Right.
I mean, but I've had about everything in the world. I've been ran over. Had a gun pulled on me. Fishing somebody's dock at Y. He fired a warning shot.
Oh yeah. I've had people jump in when I'm fishing their docks. They come down and jump in.
Caught a 669 on Altoona a few weeks ago, Josh Daniels. So that's a good fish. I'm assuming largemouth, of course.
I saw somebody posted a 6 something on there. Okay. That's a good fish.
That's a very good
But
fish.
Used to in the wintertime, everybody, I mean, all the guys that fished a lot, the guys used to be in the bass club with, they were catching big fish up there. And every winter, somebody would catch a monster, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Right. So my last tournament on Kiwi, I pulled out a chrome head and torpedo out of retirement and killed them for the first hour of the day. Now, I will say this. I've heard biologists talk about fish getting conditioned to baits. So maybe you pull out something they hadn't seen, it just triggers something.
I'm not sure I believe that.
You don't think so?
I'm not sure.
And why is that?
Because I use the same spinnerbait over at Wise for, 10, 15 years. And just kept catching fish on it.
So maybe it's just the fact that it was an older bait that it worked then. It should work now. It's just good.
He possibly could have pulled out something else and work.
Right.
Just as good. Something like an old Smithwick bucking ball or a devil's horse or a chug bug or,
right.
The only way there's no way to definitively settle that argument unless you build a time machine and can go back before that morning and start with another bait and do the same thing in the same place.
Right.
I mean, I hear people say this is the best. You can't unequivocally say any lure is the best unless you've tried every lure in the world.
Right.
And nobody's done that. So I don't, when people tell me this, I'm like, whatever.
Andy Miller. I fished a lot of lakes, and Weiss has the most inconsiderate boaters of anywhere I've been.
I'd agree with that.
That's a bold
That is a bold say. But
Yeah.
listen, no. Yeah, I mean, yeah, in North Georgia, but
I take that
Andy,
back.
Andy is
Gunners
a
was
good judge of
worse.
character too. They are a special bunch, Andy. So absolutely sure. But I'm not. I might have some people there watching tonight. And so if you're from Lake Weiss, hey, look, we appreciate you tuning in tonight. Or if you watch this, at a later date, we appreciate you. All right. So listen, we're getting close to 2 hours, getting ready to end it. So if you could give any bit of advice right now to somebody that's going out and they're trophy fishing. All right, they are trophy fishing.
Go fish somewhere where it's got trophies.
That helps. That helps. But how about though, like with the spinnerbait? Because I mean, I know you like topwater better, but the spinnerbait thing, I think, has kind of opened up some people's eyes tonight. And you know, you're going to use a spinnerbait. Give them a tip. Just definitely,
Get you a spinnerbait that weighs at least 3/4 of an ounce.
at least
And preferably got number five
one.
Colorado blades or bigger, or number 5 or number 7 willow leaves or bigger.
right.
Put a trailer hook on it and throw the snot out of it.
Run
There
us
you
through your spinnerbait setup quick, like rod reel line.
Okay, there you go.
I've got, the smaller spinnerbaits I throw on just a 7 foot. They call it medium heavy.
Right.
It's got a lot of backbone. It's got a little fast tip, so I can throw it. Makes it easier. And I'm throwing them. Sometimes I'll throw them on 20-pound mono, like throwing the little mini me's on Altoona in the mornings.
Right.
In the dark, I'll throw it on 25-pound P-line floor clear. If I'm throwing the big stuff, I've got a 7 foot 11-inch Mojo St. Croix swim bait rod.
Right.
It'll handle up to a 4-ounce lure, and I've got it rigged up with one of my big trusty 5,500.
Yeah, Sammy Benitez. Hey, buddy, I appreciate that. It was a good show tonight, and a lot of experience was offered here.
But that.
It's old ambassador.
Oh God, yeah.
Old ambassador.
Those reels are. I know they're older than you.
Oh, how old are you?
32.
Oh yeah, they're
That's older than you. I am holding something that was made before you right here.
You can look on the bottom. And I think
Oh,
the
my-
first 2 numbers on the reel tell the year it was made.
I was
Yeah,
going to say,
Greg,
my
eyesight can't see
grandmother's
that.
got 4 or 5 of those. She used to fish all the time.
Those
She's got 4 or
reels
5
are
of
like
those.
tanks. You can't kill them,
Right. So
Uh,
that's awesome.
but it's only a 4.71 to. If you try to throw those big giant spinnerbaits on high speed reels, you're going to work yourself to death.
So you actually think it's slow. So you go with the slower.
Well, I mean, if you want to call 4.71 to 1 slow,
Well, I mean, compared to everybody's thinking
I
today.
started. I
yeah,
started to say 8,
Yeah.
8, 1,
Well, I mean, if
8,
you-
1 to 1.
compare
9,
it to a
1
10-speed
1.
bicycle. Try to go up a hill in 10th gear. You can't.
Well, good.
Straight braid, right?
Straight braid.
Straight braid.
That's awesome. So that's
The only
good.
thing, I tried something the other day because I watched that show, or an old show you had with Bill Payne on here, and he was
Bill.
talking about
Oh, Bill.
the
The shaky man,
Using-
shaky head man.
using
himself.
Bill.
using the 10-pound braid and in a little leader and throwing shaky heads and sliders on it. And the other morning I was at Altoona and I went down a bank, top water, nothing. I said, okay, I'm just going to find out, are they not there? Or are they not hitting top water? I went back down it, and it just wasn't a couple of minutes. I caught 2 about 38 inches long on that rig. My God, I ain't got the patience for that. Jim.
Oh yeah, no. It's a special. You got to be a special person. To
I
work
can't.
that.
I can't.
Listen, I totally get it. I totally get it. So
like I said, I will not use a jig or a worm for a search bait. I will not do it.
yeah, you mentioned that upstairs.
I won't
Yes.
do
So
it.
power.
Now, if I get to a place, I'll pick it apart with a jig or a worm,
Right.
and I caught some big fish doing that. For whatever reason, they wouldn't hit my first 2 choices.
Right.
And that day, I think I told you that reel that malfunctioned on me. I caught one away 9.3. I had already thrown spinnerbait and a crankbait and crap all over it, and it turned its nose up at it, and I threw that jig in and caught one that weighed 9.3. And my
Right.
reel malfunctioned, and I not got it in, but it did.
Gotcha.
But
Well,
yeah.
the only time I use a jig for a search bite is like I'm hopping laydowns. I'm going from lay down to lay down to
Appreciate it, Jeff Cash.
Well, then you're that's really not a search bait. You're
Yeah.
picking stuff apart with that
Yeah.
jig, which that's what I'll do. And but
I got you. Well, I tell you what, Tim. Listen, you and I both are old. I don't know about you, but I'm getting tired.
I've got a daughter almost your age.
I know. So you're old. Listen, I'm old and you're just older.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate you coming up here tonight. I listen. Here's the thing about it, and the people that are on they're not looking at what I'm looking at, And so I mean, this is just some.
Well, that's the whole reason I come to watch was because I
Well,
saw
look,
those.
look in that book, and I tell you, I mean, and I done told the man that I want to take all of them and write a book one day for everybody. So, Joshua, hey, I'm not bringing the heat; it's just truth, man. Again, guys, look, next week I don't want to have to get on to you guys again. All right, seriously, this is supposed to be a fun and good time. That's why we do this show. Ain't nobody here getting paid to do this show.
That's
so
awesome.
let's keep it light, keep it right. All right. And hey, if you don't like something, call me the next day and we can discuss it like that. So again, Tim, I appreciate you coming up.
I had a ball.
It is fun. And I tell you what, there's a lot of people won't come up here and get in front of a microphone. You got to put yourself out there. And so what do you say, Paul? Heavy is the head that wears the crown and stuff like that. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. You got to put yourself out. And a lot of people, it's very easy to step back there, but come on. Every one of you got an invitation and you know who you are. So again, we will be here next Thursday night. Ryan Hanks is coming up from Cast. We're going to talk the saltwater techniques that they're using, and they're trying to kick them over to saltwater on Lanier. And so again, I think that's going to be a hell of a show, and it'll be another show that you can learn something. Tim, I appreciate you bringing your stuff, letting us see the logs.
Had a ball.
And I did too. I enjoyed it. And Farmer, I'm glad to see you back. If your ass was back last night, we could have fished that tournament and won. It only took 10 pounds to win.
I ain't gonna say I could have won nothing because
I didn't get to fish because my boater wasn't here. So I'm glad. I'm a bum. I'm glad to see you back though. Anyway, guys, hey, look, I appreciate it. We will see you next Thursday night. Y'all have a blessed weekend. Have some fun. Go catch some fish, and you're gonna be dodging the rain shower. So be careful. We'll see you.